Bloodstain the Dragon Mountain, 1, boom. Slashing down with enough power to create a sonic boom, Bai Yan's attack left the elder pale white as he rapidly dodged backwards in order to save himself. However, due to the suddenness of it all, Senior Yu was now disheveled and messy looking after regaining his footing. "Who the hell are you?" the elder asks with narrowed eyes. Bai Yan still didn't answer the question. She only wants to kill them all because they're the reason her daughter was dying. Then without any signal, she charges into the trapped crowd at lightning speed. Wherever her blade swung was when a human fell. Ruthless and without mercy, she's truly a death god right now as her godslayer reaped the life out of these people. Those who caused my daughter's death all deserve to die. I don't care if these people are accomplices or not, the very fact they're here is enough. They will pay for what they did. Now it's finally dawned on the old bastard that he's made a terrible mistake. Up until that point Senior Yu still believed Bai Yan to be not a huge threat and that he could overcome her with everyone present, but his underestimating would be his own undoing as he kept retreating and retreating against that endless assault. "What should we do now, Senior Yu?" a young-looking man asks with pale complexion after losing an arm. This individual also noticed the huge gap in power and sought help. "How am I supposed to know? This woman is simply crazy in the head. It's not like we killed her daughter or anything." "That's right, in the old bastard's head he's not responsible for Dragoni's current state. Rather, it's the girl herself who self-destructed, so the blame doesn't lie with them. Bai Yan has no qualification or right to attack them at all. But Senior Yu, a lot of the men we brought along are now dead because of her." Gritting his teeth, the young anxious man forces out the one thought he had: "Why don't you go apologize? Although that dragon girl wasn't personally slain by your hands, it's still partly your fault that she committed suicide. Just admit to the crime, Senior Yu, then all of us can escape after we quell that woman's anger." This was an act of desperation to even suggest such a thing for the individual. He wants to flee like everyone else here, but Bai Yan had already sealed their escape route by placing a sea of flame in a circling formation, making it impossible to run without suffering incredible damage or even their life. Getting sharp in his old eyes: "Have me apologize? Are you listening to yourself? Which fault did I do? How can you be so cowardly?" The young man's expression promptly got ugly after hearing that rebuke, and with good reason. They only came to search for someone at the offer of a reward, not to put their lives on the line and die. The other side was clearly provoked by Senior Yu himself, so the men gathered didn't want to pay the price for the mistake of someone else. "Now that's where you're wrong, Senior Yu. Yes, we accepted your deal of helping you, but the deal only involved us searching out the dragon girl. Why should we risk our lives when we never offered it? How about this, you go and prove to that woman that the rest of us are innocent." The old-timer sneered. "Humph, you think it's going to be that easy? You've all accepted my deal, so I expect you to carry out your work without hassle. Don't think there's no risk after taking advantage of my offer. If I can't escape from this today, then none of you will." Bloodstain the Dragon Mountain, 2. Even though there were countless mourning cries along this mountain right now, the old bastard's remark still caught their ears and struck a nail into their already anxious hearts. They've always thought of Senior Yu as someone kind and righteous, a person deserving of respect. But here? What respect? He's downright selfish to demand them to die for him. Unfortunately for these poor souls, Bai Yan wasn't going to stand idly by while they quibble and slew another dozen or so of them before they could react. But one person was still one person. In light of this, many of them still remained. The only one who really wants the dragon girl to die is you, Senior Yu. As long as you confess to the crime and put in a few words for us, then she will certainly spare the rest of us. Why won't you save us when you're going to die anyways? The last bit of that sentence was exactly the same as the one Senior Yu used against Dragony earlier, and now it's their turn to use against the old-timer. What irony! After suffering another attack along the chest and coughing up a mouthful of blood at the hands of Bai Yan's swing, Senior Yu gets cruel in his voice. Humph, you all took advantage of me when the benefits are there and now you're demanding I sacrifice myself when things turn bad. I admit this woman is stronger than me and that I can't resist her, but I won't go down alone. If I die then I'll drag you all down with me, ha ha ha. Yes, why should he die for the sake of others? That just doesn't make sense for Senior Yu, who still felt he's being wronged here. Of course, the attitude he's showing enraged the young man that had already lost an arm due to his inaction. Then what is all that from earlier? You reprimanded the dragon girl when she refused to give you her beast core, and now you're doing the same. Why do we have to die for you when you refuse to be selfless and sacrifice yourself for your own mistake? We've truly been blinded by you. I thought you were a true man, a genuine person of character, but you're no better than a shameless bastard that hides behind lies and deceit. If I had known you were this kind of person, then forget about a level 13 Dan pill, I wouldn't come even if you gave me a bottle. Unfortunately for the young man who's lost an arm, there's no such thing as turning back time in this world after making a terrible mistake. Under the dreaded grayness of the dark sky hanging above this holy dragon mountain, blood stains the ground and creates a scene of carnage in its wake. Even so, this could never elevate the pain suffered by the mother who's lost a daughter today. Oomph! Senior Yu's expression turns mad crazy, revealing a wild laugh as he yelled out his last will, I am the head alchemist's disciple, killing me won't save you, woman. After the Celestial Palace gets wind of what happened here today, you and your family will all die, ha ha ha. Bloodstain the Dragon Mountain, 3, Senior Yu closes those eyes slightly and held a snickering sneer along his face. He's aware the end for him has come, and the only baggage he has left to worry about would be his one and only granddaughter. Bai Yan continued to act like she's deaf to the threat. Swinging her blade, she slashes down to give a lethal blow to the old-timer across the chest, thus sealing his fate. From start to end, she's never let Dragony down from her arms like a sleeping princess. One being she couldn't bear to let the girl go. The second was that satisfied smile there. It's killing Bai Yan knowing her daughter was smiling because she came but was too late to save her. Mother, Dragony won't die, right? She won't die. Bai Shechen crouches down on the ground, his eyes tearing up as he muttered this out, Mother, you must have a way to save her. As much as the woman wanted to say yes, she couldn't, she just couldn't. Hanging her head down in a displaced and guilty fashion, if I had come a little earlier than I might have, this is my fault for not coming faster. It's not like Bai Yan wasn't trying to come up with a method, but the core of a demon was equivalent to their life. By self-destructing it was the same as committing suicide, and that's exactly what Dragony did there to herself. Knowing that fact, the hurting mother did something she's never done before, and as it so happens, that action was caught by the steambun who looked up after noticing the behavior. Mother, is crying. Those bastards not only killed Dragony, they also made Mother cry. Promptly, a surge of monstrous killing intent pours out from the young boy's body, his face hard and serious like never before seen. Ha! Senior Yu saw the results of his deed and coughed up a weak laugh but sarcastic laugh, even if you kill me your daughter won't be coming back to life. Such a selfish person, she deserves such a ending. Boom! Unable to hold back her rage, Bai Yan suddenly turns to the dying elder and swung her Godslayer again. This time instead of across the chest, it's to dismember his arm entirely from the main body. A fountain of blood spewed out as a result. What? You want to kill me because you're angry? Then go ahead, kill me. No matter what, my Shifu will definitely come avenge me, haha. Truth was this mocking attitude was a deliberate attempt by the dying man to get his end faster. He's afraid the woman across from himself would try something else like torture. By then dying would be an act of mercy. Unfortunately, Senior Yu thought too lowly of Bai Yan still. From start to finish, this demon queen has never intended to let the old-timer off easy. She may have sealed the man's physical body's fate, but that doesn't mean she would let his soul off the hook. What did my daughter do to deserve this fate? She's always been well-behaved and sensible, never going out of her way to cause trouble. Smiling with a bone-numbing chill, Bai Yan's face would bring shudder to anyone who meets it. She may be a demon, but a life is a life. What right do you have to take someone else's life? Swish. Without hesitation, Bai Yan throws a stabbing motion out with her blade, piercing right through Senior Yu's chest and out his back. You forced my daughter to her death. For that, I will make sure you suffer a fate worse than death. Her voice resonated with power at this moment, like a vow to heaven's rule. The method to save her. 1. Looks like this woman is just all talk with that foul mouth of hers. In the end she still stabbed me with her sword. Now I can move on and not suffer so much. However, Senior Yu soon realizes his momentary relief was short-lived after jinxing it. Next thing he knew was the woman reaching up to his forehead with a hand and made a gripping motion. Before he could tell what's happening, a difficult and indescribable pain shocked his soul like it's being ripped from his body. When he finally returned to his senses after a long while of being in a dazed state, what welcomed his eyes were the body of himself. To be exact, the dead version of himself with rolled eyes sprawled along the floor. As for the current him, he's merely floating there in the air like a transparent ghost. You, what did you do to me? Pop. Unable to say more, a flame suddenly took to life underneath himself and engulfing his ghost soul in the process. Senior Yu thought he experienced pain before already, but this torturous sensation was beyond anything he could ever imagine. There's no way to describe it, simply soul-reaching and causing his mind to go insane. I said it, you hurt my daughter so I'll make your fate worse than death. Holding the cold body of the girl in her arms even tighter than before, Bai Yan's pained face told everyone she didn't feel any better after doing the deed. Not in the slightest. Why did it have to be like this? Avenging Dragony won't bring her back. Why did I have to be late? Crouching to the ground at the thought of her own failure, the crying mother wanted to use her own body's warmth to change reality. But try as she might, it's futile, causing the scene to appear even more lonely and sad. Exactly then, a grieving voice abruptly cuts through this silence, followed shortly by the clear sound of another belonging to a young man's. Molly, Piggy, why are you running so fast? Where are you going? Wait for. Yet the person couldn't finish his sentence because he could see the familiar figure crouching on the ground and silently weeping. What's going on? Why do I feel so hurt when seeing this picture, and so familiar as well? It's like I know someone similar and ached for them too. Ah! I can't remember. Flying over with great speed by flapping his little wings, Molly the piggy practically threw himself in front of the girls with a tearful face. He howled out in pain and retaliation at the heavens for taking Dragony's life. Dragony, woohoo, reaching out with his pig trotters to poke at the dead girl's face in hopes of getting a reaction, the poor thing kept shaking his head in denial after getting none. Queen Mother, what happened to Dragony? Is she dead? Covering her own eyes, Bai Yan didn't want others to see her crying face, nor did she ask why Mo Li Shang the young man and his companion the winged piggy was here. She simply wasn't in the mood for that. The method to save her. 2. Yen. Mo Li Shang found his heart pumping with heartache after finding the woman's tearful face. Did I come too late? If me and Molly, Piggy, had come earlier, then perhaps we could have helped. That way Yen wouldn't be so sad. It's not your fault Shan. Bai Yan shook her head before gradually coming back up. It's my fault for not protecting Dragony properly. It's because of me. 1,000 years ago many of her closest family and friends left her, and 1,000 years later the same tragedy ensues. The cause of all this? The Celestial Palace. Showing an angry face of vicious nature, the woman vows to herself, I will make them all pay, make them pay for all they've done to me. The winged piggy continued to sob though, Queen Mother, please save Dragony, woohoo, please save her. I'm sorry, but not even I can repair a destroyed core. I don't know how. For the first time in her life, Bai Yan felt useless and weak because she couldn't save her own daughter. No. Queen Mother, I know a way to save Dragony, you can save her. Molly the piggy suddenly stops crying and pleads with a serious face. He had always heard a voice in his head telling him to do various things. For example, protecting Dragony was among one of them. Bai Yan's hand openly shuddered at the notion. Hurrying to grab the piggy with her free hand, the woman's eye was flaring with hope. Is it true? What you say is true. I can save Dragony. Tell me now, how do I save her? As long as she's able to save Dragony, then she would do anything and try anything. Dragony seems to have ate something called the ice fruit. Molly the little piggy appears bewildered in the face for some reason. You absorbed the essence blood of your husband the Demon King and integrated it with your own. That means your blood carries a certain level of his power. By infusing your blood with the ice fruit inside her body, it can then restore Dragony's demon core. Mother. Bai Shuchen cries out after hearing there's hope. Does that mean my blood will work too? He wants to save Dragony as much as anyone else, so he's more than willing to use his own blood. Furthermore, the steam bun doesn't want his mother to shed her blood specifically. Shaking his piggy head, I don't know, but I have a voice in my head telling me it must be Queen Mother's blood. Your voice. Bai Yan locked onto that key piece of detail and frowned. Nodding his piggy head, back when I first saw Dragony, the voice in my head told me I must exhaust my life to protect her. Afterwards it disappeared, only coming back out again at this moment. What? So you weren't joking around with me when you first said there's a voice? Mo Li Shang the young lad exclaims, his face full of shock. A while back his companion the winged piggy already mentioned this key fact with him, but the young man only took it as a joke and left it at that. To think it's real. The method to save her. 3. I'm not lying, I'm really not lying. Molly the winged piggy gets all anxious in the face after noticing the doubt coming his eye. Tearing up like a child, Queen Mother, you have to save her, only you can save her. Bai Yan did not respond right away, only slowly crouching down with the girl in her arm while caressing Dragony's increasingly deathly face. There's true warmth in her face as she muttered what's in her heart. Dragony, from the time I decided to take you in I have always thought of you as my daughter. No matter what happens or the price, I will bring you back. Even if that means going to hell and dragging your soul back into this world, nothing will stop me. Bai Shuchen's little heart openly shuddered at the idea of going to hell. Tugging at the woman's sleeve, Mother, Shuchen, you don't want to save Dragony? Bai Yan stares at her son, that voice gentle but winded due to the emotions coming forward. Shaking his head, Dragony is my family, so of course I want to save her, but I want to try first. If my blood is useless then we can try yours, Mother. If it works then Mother won't have to get hurt. Shuchen, I'm sorry, but if Molly insists on it being me then there must be a reason. Why waste your blood? Giving her boy a ruffle along the head, listen to me, I must save her. As distressed as he was, the steam bun knew his argument was lost in this case. Biting those lips, he frustratingly lets go of Bai Yan's sleeve and accept the situation. If only I can be a little stronger, then I can protect Mother and Dragony instead of letting them get hurt. Bai Yan saw the feeling of her boy and the guilt he felt. Normally she would console him and say it's okay, but those words are pointless now and she knew it. Without another word, the woman pulls out a blade and draws a small line across the finger, thus allowing the golden fluid to trickle down to her daughter's cheek. Perhaps this was too much for Bai Yan because her complexion instantly went white. In the end the woman had to lean in against her son for support, otherwise she might have fell backwards over then. Unfortunately, the one drop wasn't nearly enough and forced the woman to press out a second one. Finally, exuding a dreadfully vast amount of frost from the body, Dragony's soul stirred but not in a good way. What's going on here? Bai Yan collapsed after nearly losing consciousness. It took her a good moment to regain her composure, but when she did the following scene sent her into a panicking state due to it not working as she thought. Molly cries out as well, "I don't know, the voice in my head tells me this is what we need to save her. Queen Mother, did we hurt Dragony, woo-woo?" The method to save her, for, Dragony, don't be afraid, Mother is here by your side. Bai Yen murmurs this after forcing herself to calm down. She was afraid and panicked there for a second, but she also believes Molly wouldn't lie, so it's going to be alright. Mother, Bai Xiaoqin's eyes lit up then after noticing something crucial, Dragony is breathing again. It's at this moment a faint movement could be seen from the girl's chest, indicating she's alive again. Though weak and small, life has returned. Nearly having her heart jump out from excitement, Bai Yen hugs the girl in her arms even harder, hoping the physical contact would accelerate the recovery. Dragony, Mother will never let you go again, nor will I let anyone hurt you again. Such pain, she couldn't bear it a second time, not ever. As if to answer the good news, the dark clouds that has covered the area above their heads also dispersed, revealing the bright blueness and the warm sun in the sky. Wanting to join in on the embrace, the steam bun also crouched down to hug the girls. "Mother, I promise I will get stronger and protect Dragony, I won't let anyone hurt at all." Even though the boy remains young in his age, but the face was firm and strong. Moved by the picture, Mo Lishang, teen, who's been watching from one side couldn't turn away. Showing a bittersweet smile, "Molly, you stay with them from now on, master." The winged piggy turns around with shock in his eye. "Is what you're saying true? I can really stay?" Grabbing his chest like he's hurt, the young man appeared sad along the face. "Why are you agreeing so quickly when I said you can stay? Your behavior, do you know how much it hurts me? We've been living together for so long, you rascal. But you're not comfortable leaving Queen Mother alone, nor do I feel comfortable either, so why should I feel guilty about staying? You agree, right?" Molly replies with innocence in his voice like he's not doing anything wrong. Which, in kind, was akin to a stab in the heart for the other side. Mo Lishang's clearly not used to his partner acting so cruelly. For example, every time in the past when he said he would lose Molly after getting in an argument, the piggy would always cling onto his leg and sob all day long. Now look what's happening. The little fella was willing to ditch him so fast. "Fine, Molly, you can stay, but you must protect Dragony at all cost. If I find out Yen Yen is sad again with you here, I will break your leg as punishment, you understand?" Mo Lishang threatens after pulling a long face. The piggy promptly shrank his neck back after hearing this. In comparison to his current master, the poor fella obviously felt it's better to stick with the ladies since he never got scolded like this. Furthermore, Bai Yen would also give him snacks when she's feeling sweet, a polar opposite to Mo Lishang's attitude. The only issue was, at the thought of Dragony's distaste for pigs, Molly would get very tired in the heart. "Oh, how am I supposed to win her over?" "Xiaoqin," Bai Yen slowly gets up, "Dragony will be alright now, so let's head back to the city. Your father is going to be worried, plus we need to send more demons here to search for the missing guards." "Okay." Bai Xiaoqin cleverly reached out to hold the woman's hand, but his eyes never left the little girl's frail body. "But mother, won't Dragony be cold like this? Do you want me to help warm her up a little?" The method to save her. 5. The ice fruit is automatically helping repair her core. We can no longer do anything else at this point aside from wait. She will wake up on her own once the time comes. It could be months or even years before that happens, but one thing was for certain, Bai Yen won't give up on this daughter of hers. Regardless of Dragony returning to her old self or becoming a cripple, this mother only has one wish, and that was her girl being alright and able to live her life. Celestial Palace. Not far away in a certain manor, a certain sick-looking lady was currently covering her own mouth with a handkerchief when she noticed the blotch of red stain from the deed. It pained the lady, which instantly roused a comment from the nearby maid. "Miss, should we inform the house chief?" "No," the lady by the name of Yushishir shakes her head. "Grandfather has gone out to find medicine for me already. I will recover once I take it, so let's not worry others. But why hasn't grandfather returned yet after so long? For some strange reason, she's got this uncomfortable sensation something was off and it frightened her. This won't do, I have to go to the Celestial Palace and ask Healer Yu to help me find grandfather. That said, the young lady promptly pulls herself up from the ground. From a technical standpoint, the person called Healer Yu should be addressed as Grandshifu Yu by the girl here, since that person was her grandfather's Shifu. However, there's also another layer to their relationship, since she's also the old man's disciple, thus complicating the relationship. But miss, your body, the maid sounded even more worried now. Smiling to not alarm her servants, I'm all right, you don't have to worry too much about me. If you're still worried, then you can accompany me, this way you can help if anything does happen. After throwing this down, the young lady didn't leave room for discussion and stepped forward for the exit. Over in the main palace wing, the material and decorations here were magnificent to say the least. Even so, it could never mask the foulness of two females fighting over a man. Right as Yu Shusher arrived at the entrance, she was welcomed by an unwelcomed individual who happened to be leaving at the same time as her. Yu Shusher, what are you doing here? It can't be, are you here to look for the Lord? Yun Roashi snickers a chuckle, her tone mocking and disgusting as ever while she spoke to the sickly lady. If so, then I can tell you now, the Celestial Lord is not around. Too bad your trip is in vain. Furthermore, I am his fiancé. If anyone should entertain the Lord, it should be me. Fiancé, this word was equal to a sharp thorn poking at Yu Shusher's already frail heart. Smiling coldly to retort, the sickly lady doesn't back down. Ha, as far as I know, the Celestial Lord never married you, nor recognize your status. Yu Shusher. Darkening in the face at having her sore spot poked at, Yun Roashi wanted to slap the other side but kept it inside due to the other side's background. And how would you know? Back then you weren't even born yet. Whether he is my husband or not, it has nothing to do with you. Unlike someone who only knows how to fantasize about the Lord, I at least met him in person, while you only know how to stare at a portrait. The Lord doesn't even know who you are. The jab instantly made Yu Shusher draw her hands into a ball due to the frustration she felt. It's true, she never met Chui God in person, only crushing on the man because she happened to come across a portrait by chance. Nevertheless, she still fell madly in love with him in light of this thin frail connection. The method to save her. 6. You insolent. The maid from the Yu family saw how her lady was being bullied and snapped out. My family's miss is Healer Yu's disciple, so you better show some respect. Not to mention Milady's is young and beautiful, unlike you who is a 1,000-year-old witch. Yun Roashi appeared livid across the face. She's lived for 1,000 years, that's true, but she's kept up her appearance very well and hasn't aged in the slightest on the surface. For that she was very proud. To be mocked like this still hurts though. Forget it, Lu Yan. Yu Shusher stops her maid by raising a hand. We need to go find my Grandshifu first, leave her alone. Yu Shusher. Getting even more outraged at being ignored, Yun Roashi deliberately lowers her voice into a whisper so others wouldn't catch it. You came here for your grandfather? Ha! As far as I'm aware, your grandfather went out to search for an ice fruit to help cure your body. The fact that he hasn't returned yet doesn't bode well. From my view, he's likely dead at this point. Going icy in the face as well, Yu Shusher snaps out as an instinctive reaction. You shut up. Shut up. Why should I shut up? Ticking her lips upward in a sarcastic manner, the old witch gets all cocky and conceited. Your body is a sickly mess. If not for you, your grandfather wouldn't have had to go out to begin with. Why don't you just go off yourself so your loved ones don't have to suffer? Maybe then their lives will be better off. At this moment Yun Roashi only wanted to win a tongue fight, to think her words would actually come true in this case. With her trembling finger pointing at the other girl, Yu Shusher wanted to say something in retort, but all that would come out was a stammering of nothingness. Eventually, a squirt of blood flew out of the sickly lady's mouth and caused her to fall backwards over. Miss. The maid rushes over to catch the falling woman. In kind, Yun Roashi also stood there dumbfoundedly. She didn't expect such a strong reaction, especially the blood-vomiting part. Without another thought, this old witch immediately tried to make herself scarce and hightail it out of there. Unfortunately for her though, the maid over there caught this. "You bitch, you dare bully my lady. Don't you dare leave." The irate maid made a lunge in order to stop her. Originally Yun Roashi wanted to dodge this maneuver, but her eyes have always been a sharp one. Right as she was about to do so, her view caught a glimpse of a certain elder coming out of the celestial palace. Like always, the devious and scheming side came out and she took the blow head on, thus allowing herself to be thrown to the ground and making herself to look like the victim. "You sure, I know you love the Lord, but I only said those things to you because I didn't want you to wait in vain and be hurt in the future. I didn't expect you to be so emotional." Showing red in the eye like she's about to cry, the old witch puts on an indignant and aggrieved face, "So, I am willing to bear anything your maid wished to instill upon me. After all, if it wasn't for me trying to do good, you wouldn't have collapsed and vomited blood either." Head alchemist of the Celestial Palace. 1. Before Yu Shusher could pull herself together and get back up, she was promptly alerted to a loud and infuriated voice from the rear. "Outrageous! Yu Shusher, how dare you order your maid to attack Roashi? She only had good intentions in mind, why are you so narrow-sighted? Do you think Healer Yu can protect you forever?" Coming forward was none other than Keeper Ling, the grumpy old elder who hated Bai Yen the most. This Yu Shusher is getting over her own head. Who does she think she is? The Lord would never take her considering her status. And because of her own small heart, she's blaming Roshi for her own sickness. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. "I didn't." Yu Shusher falls into a panic at the outcry. Biting her lip like she's aggrieved, "It's her, Roshi said my grandfather died and won't ever come back. It's not related to the Lord. Why are you framing me like this, Sister Shusher?" The old witch makes her eyes all red like they're red to cry, "I can never say something cruel like that. Keeper Ling, you have to believe me, I would never say something bad about the Celestial Palace. Senior Yu is a respected man, I would never." The sickly lady openly gawked her mouth there. She wants to dispute this some more and expose the lying witch, but this level of shamelessness simply left her stunned and lost for words. As a result, the old grumpy keeper took this as a sign of guilt and firmly believed the false story. Noticing the spiraling situation as well, Yu Shusher began to stammer and loses her stance. I really didn't." Slowly closing her eyes, the lady knew she's stuck now. Whatever she says, it would only trap her some more. "Miss." The maid flew into a rage after seeing how her lady was being wronged. "You shameless woman. You clearly framed my lady, how dare you frame her, you." Bang! Exactly then, to silence the loud mouth, Keeper Ling attacked by waving his hand and sending out a shockwave. In an instant, the loyal servant who only wanted to help flew up into the air and slammed into the ground again, causing her to vomit blood like she's severely injured. "Quick, go find Healer Yu, only he can save the miss." Another maid who has kept quiet until now cried out to her peers, who promptly rushed into the palace for help. "Lu Yen." Yu Shusher cries out, her eyes burning with frustration and anger at having her friend hurt. "Keeper Ling, my grandshifu is the head alchemist of the Celestial Palace. Even if he hasn't appeared in public for many years, it doesn't mean he would stand idly by after this. I want to remind you who it is that provides the Dan pills for this place. Don't you think what you did there will make his heart go cold?" Sure enough, Keeper Ling went quiet for a while. He knew the underlying threat behind the woman's word and in fact already held back when attacking. Otherwise, considering his grumpy temper, he would have killed the maid already. Also, you should know the old saying of one should know who the master is before hitting a dog. You injured my maid, where does that put me here today? That finally drew a reaction from the grumpy keeper. Huffing a grunt, nothing but a maid. There are no shortages of maids in the Celestial Palace. If you want, I can send you a dozen or so, but your maid insulted Roashi, that demands punishment. Head alchemist of the Celestial Palace, 2, you sure was weak to begin with. Now under the stress of the other side's accusing glare, her trembling face only got worse as she got in front of her maid as a shield. I won't let you hurt my maid, and she's not wrong. Although this lady of the Yu house was the granddaughter of Senior Yu, her personality was nothing alike to the selfish old man. Of the biggest difference here, she's willing to stand up to those in power if she believes the right was on her side despite everything, which was exactly what's happening here. You sure, you dare get in my way when I haven't even punished you yet? Don't forget, your Yu house is only a subordinate faction under the Celestial Palace, what makes you think you can defy me? Gradually darkening across the face, Keeper Ling bluntly states this without a hint of mercy. In light of the threat, the lady did not move though. She may be weak, sickly, and powerless, but that won't hinder her stubborn nature. Sure enough, a sarcastic smirk forms along the lady's lip. No wonder the Lord never returned to the palace for so many tears, he's likely chilled to the heart by this group of people. Such a place where everyone blindly believes in this Roashi's words, what meaning is there to stay here? I'm willing to be punished, but you need to let go of my maid. You sure bit her lip but kept her firm expression of unyielding nature. Alright, in that case, you'll take 3 of my strikes. If you can withstand it then I'll let your maid off the hook. Keeper Ling says, his eyes flashing a cold menacing light. Of course, because of how sick and frail the other girl was, the old grumpy man would never use his full force and control it in kind. Nevertheless, it still doesn't mean he wouldn't make it hurt to show a point of who's in charge. He's not afraid of Healer Yu coming out to demand an explanation, but he won't allow any loss to come to the Celestial Palace. As an alchemist capable of creating a level 14 grade Dan pill, even he as the strongest keeper around must think twice of crossing the other elder's path. You sure didn't struggle over the demand. Closing her eyes, she confronts the bastard with her pale face, causing the injured maid in the rear to grow increasingly urgent. The poor maid wanted to cry out several times there, but she didn't have the energy and fell over multiple times in the end as she struggled to get up. However, fate wasn't going to let you sure meet her end so quickly today. Right as Keeper Ling's palm strike was about to make contact, a loud thundering voice booms over and sent the whole place into a shock. Keeper Ling, what are you doing? The ground rumbles over that echoing voice. Next thing everyone knew was an old elder running a white alchemic robe descending in front of the girls and meeting the attack head-on with his own fist. Sparks flew from the impact, almost like metal scraping against metal. What am I doing? Stumbling backwards from the unexpected exchange, it was Keeper Ling who lost the struggle first. Getting dark in the face at the new arrival, why don't you ask your precious disciple over there? Originally Healer Yu still had on an irate face against the grumpy keeper, but that instantly changed once this head alchemist turned around to meet the sickly lady. Sure, tell Grandshifu here what happened. I will help you get justice if you suffered any indignation. Because of the urgency of the matter, those maids from before didn't have time to explain the whole story, only saying Sure was in danger and that he needed to hurry outside. Even so, this head alchemist of the Celestial Palace didn't question the urgency. He knows this girl's personality better than anyone else. Unlike his disciple who's selfish and likes to pick on the weak, this girl was kind, patient, and gentle, only ever retaliating when pushed into a corner. Grandshifu, trembling along the eyelashes like she's about to cry, just now Roashi said my grandfather is dead, is that true? Did something happen befall him? Head alchemist of the Celestial Palace, 3, Healer Yu became stunned there for a moment. Earlier his heart also felt uneasy for some unknown reasons, now it made sense after having the idea brought up. Even if he wasn't particularly fond of that disciple of his, it's still his. How could he tolerate someone offing his student? Furthermore, there's still the question of why Yun Roshi knew about the matter ahead of everyone else. Matching all these points together, it leaves to beckon on whether or not it's the woman herself who sent the ones responsible for the matter. Healer Yu, I never said anything of that sort, getting all teary red in the eyes, the old witch plays the innocent card. I only kindly mentioned the Lord has a person he already likes, then Shishir suddenly vomited blood from out of the blue. Perhaps my careless remark stimulated her feelings for the Lord and caused such a strong reaction, for that I am truly sorry. But I did not expect Shishir to order her maid in attacking me. If Keeper Ling didn't come in the nick of time, I might have died by their hands. Is it wrong for me to show kindness? When speaking the last sentence, the old witch's face grew even more pathetically sad, making it all the more convincing. In response, the old grumpy keeper could feel his anger gushing out. Glaring over at his peer who continues to stand guard, I'm sure I don't need to explain the sort of character Roa she has, do I? She would never say something like that. How can you force her like this based solely on you Shishir's claim? How can you bear it? The sickly lady's appearance visibly trembled over being called a liar and a bad human being. In the end, a squirt of blood came vomiting out of the throat a second time after pressing it down for so long due to the indignation. Turning around after becoming aware of this sound, Healer Yu instantly grew outraged at the sight. Getting dreadfully cold in his voice, compared to Yun Roashi, I rather believe in my students more. It's not enough that you bunch caused the Lord to never return, now you want to go after my people as well. In that case you can forget about getting any more Dan pills from my end. That said, the head alchemist signals the other maids to come forward in order to help support their lady and injured maid, take the two of them down to rest, I won't let anyone harm my people again. Also, tell the other keepers here that I won't be supplying any more of my 14th grade products to the Celestial Palace, you can look elsewhere. The logic behind Healer Yu's maneuver was simple, if he's going to provide for these ungrateful bastards then why not spend it on Shishir who has been so good to him. At least this way he could put a foot down so they won't think about kicking him aside after their wings grow hard. Keeper Ling's expression visibly contorted into a mess there. He's outraged, but ashamed at his own lack of constraint to dissolve the situation, which was enough to make him release a dangerous cracking sound along the fists. Keeper Ling, I'm sorry, this is all my fault, the old witch saw this and knew she's done it now. Hurrying to speak with her head hanging down like a repenting child, I shouldn't have reminded Shishir of the Lord, it's my fault for mistakenly causing all this. Perhaps the incident really left a serious sour note in the old grumpy elder's taste bud, but his tone there didn't resemble any of the comforting and warm tone he used before. These things have nothing to do with you is old and stubborn so it's bound to happen eventually. Go back first and rest, I need to find the other keepers to discuss the matter. Becoming aware of the impatience shown towards herself, Yun Roshi knew what it meant. Slightly shaking in the heart, she hangs her head and left for the exit in silence. However, the tightly clenched balls that were her hands said everything that was truly in her mind. She's jealous of you Shishir. That sickly piece of a flash bag wasn't the same as herself. The old witch understood that everything she owns, everything she has, it all came from lies and deceit. Meanwhile Shishir truly did own all the love and care in her life, the polar opposite of what Roshi has. Head alchemist of the Celestial Palace, for, in the convening hall of the Celestial Palace, the gathered keepers were all showing various kinds of faces due to the fluctuating emotions in their mind. This was especially true for Keeper Yellow who went up against his grumpy counterpart. What is Roashi doing? Even if Shishir crushes on the Lord it's not her business to say those things. Now look at what's happening. Yu is definitely not going to keep supplying us with his Dan pills at this rate. Pausing to glare at this grumpy counterpart, Keeper Yellow gathers his patience lest he explodes, and you Keeper Ling, you're so old already, how could you not know better? All of us here know how much you loves that girl to the point he takes as her grandchild. There's good reason for the finger pointing here. Unlike the gathered elders in this hall, Healer Yu was the only one capable of concocting alchemic pills of the 14th grade in this whole palace, and it's not a guarantee each time either. Keeper Ling's expression also darkened as he huffed a grunt. Then are you expecting me to sit back while Ruoshi is being bullied? Is that what you want? A sense of awkward embarrassment filled Keeper Yellow's face over the rebuke. I also cherish Ruoshi, but this dispute is completely unnecessary. With the calamity so close, our strength is also very important and must be taken into account regarding the overall situation. In other words, he's accusing Keeper Ling of not considering the whole picture and offended Healer Yu out of self-interest, costing them a major opportunity to get the much-needed supplies for the impending fight. Can you all say less? We have enough on our tables as it is. Keeper Zun frowns and stops them all. This time it's clearly Ruoshi who's in the wrong first. Out of consideration for everything and to placate Yu's anger at us, we will need her to put up with the grievance and keep the girl away from Shirshir for the time being. Also, Keeper Ling, I want to remind you Shirshir's body have always been weak and frail. If your strike really did land on her, do you think she would be fine? Even if she lived, she would be bedridden for good because of that. You need to be more cautious next time. This time there were no rebukes from the grumpy elder. He knows the matter was partly his fault for being so rash. In fact, he's starting to regret the matter somewhat. Outside the gathering hall, Yun Ruoshi's been quietly listening in on their conversation like usual. However, her expression had grown ugly and disgusted after hearing what they wanted her to do. It's like someone pulled a hand into her chest and wrung at the heart, making her twisted and grotesque along the face. Based on what? Why should I be wronged? When have I ever been wronged since I came to the Celestial Palace? That never happened even back when Bai Yen was here. Heaving a long breath to calm her unstable emotions, the old witch turns and left for the outside in anger, never once looking back. I'm going to let them know that you Shirshir can never be compared to me. They will pay for this, they will all pay. About the same time that was occurring, Yu Shirshir the sickly lady was currently sitting inside a laboratory type of room, her face anxious and impatient while staring at her grandshifu. Head alchemist of the Celestial Palace, 5, half a ring later, Healer Yu finally opens his eyes and revealed a somewhat pale complexion along with a layer of sweat covering that forehead. Grandshifu, did you find my grandfather yet? Yu Shirshir urgently asks from across the table. No answer came, only silence and a pair of clenched fists from the exhausted elder. Please tell me, did something happen? Now getting even more worried, the sickly lady started sobbing uncontrollably. Don't worry, I can bear the truth. A faint sigh comes out of Healer Yu's mouth at this scene, his old eyes filled with grief. Your grandfather, he's gone. Boom. Like a sunny day suddenly being covered in darkness, Yu Shirshir's body collapsed and nearly took to the ground. The only reason the lady didn't was thanks to the wall from behind, keeping her back straight and not breaking apart. How did this happen? How could something have happened to grandfather? He promised to come back quickly. I won't believe it, I won't. As she shook her head, tears continued to roll, thus making the picture all the more heartbreaking. I don't believe it. Grandfather is so powerful, who else in the world can kill him? Yun Ruoshi. Yu Shirshir suddenly glared upwards with veins showing in those eyes. It must be Yun Ruoshi. She must have killed my grandfather. It must be her. Yun Ruoshi. Healer Yu's expression deepened into a frown. She doesn't have that ability. No, the lady shakes her head to refute the denial. I accidentally came across her with a very powerful individual before. The person looks like a demon. Furthermore, how could she have known about grandfather's death without us being aware of it first? She must have done it. A burning fire resembling hatred now filled the sickly lady's face. That's right, it must be Yun Ruoshi who ordered that demon, it must be her who's behind all this. Healer Yu's eyes narrowed in as well. Are you absolutely sure about this? I saw it with my own eyes. She called that demon Winger, it must be that demon who killed my grandfather at her order. In this world, the most important person for this sickly lady was her grandfather and Grandshifu. Now that she's lost one of them, a dark side that has never seen the light of day has come forward in the girl. We will leave it at that for now. Sure, the first priority is to locate your grandfather's last known location before his death. After we retrieve his body, then we can settle the debt with that Yun Roa Shi. Getting ugly as well along the face, Healer Yu growled viciously at what has befallen his disciple. If it really is that old woman, then I won't let her go for this. Bai Yen naturally wouldn't know about that incident within the Celestial Palace. Truly, she accounted for a lot of things, but never for someone else taking the blame for her own actions like killing Senior Yu. As the old saying goes, trouble comes from the tongue, and that's exactly what occurred here for Yun Roa Shi, who got too talkative. Anyways, there's more pressing matter for Bai Yen and her family to care about right now than to care about other people. For example, getting the heck out of this holy dragon mountain. Mother, are we lost? Bai Shechen asks with a tinge of worry in his little eyes. Lost? Really, that word has never been in their dictionary until this day. But aside from that, what else could it be? Furrowing her brow at her son's question, Bai Yen hands Dragoni over to her young friend Emo Li Shang for carrying. After that's done, she immediately flew into the air to scan the area. To the woman's surprise though, the base of the mountain remains nowhere in sight despite the greater height she's taken, which was very abnormal. How does it look, mother? The steambun shouts up from the ground, his eyes eager to get out of here. Is there a way to leave? Head alchemist of the Celestial Palace, 6, something fishy is going on with this holy dragon mountain. When we came it only took us half a day to traverse the landscape, yet we can't make it down to the base after walking for a full day. I suspect we've activated some sort of trap along the way. Bai Yen explains after musing over the situation. There are countless traps and illusionary spells placed along the place, yet she's never seen anything like them before. Whether it be from theoretical standpoint, or their makeup, it's very different from the modern-day style she uses. Xiachen, are you worried? She asked out of fear for her boy panicking. I am not, mother. As long as I'm with you, then I'm happy. Bai Xiachen shakes his little head and defused the idea. Ruffling the boy's hair with a smile, all right Xiachen, we will definitely leave this place. This child is always so intimate and sensible, like a burning warmth in my heart. But Yen, what is wrong with this place? Why can't we get out of this place? Mo Li Shang, the young friend, scratches the back of his head in confusion. For the time being I can't figure out the cause either. Pausing to furrow her brow, regardless of the issue, we will eventually find out the reasoning, I'm sure of it. Okay. Nodding with a firm belief in the other side, the young man doesn't sound worried after that reassurance. Precisely at the same time while they were searching for a way out of this strange and maze-like mountain, others on the other hand had just arrived here to land at the spot they were in not long ago. Glancing around for her precious grandfather, Yu Shusher appeared shocked and horrified when she noticed the soul burning inside a pyre of flame. Grandfather. Reacting to the outcry, the lost soul flickers with life for a brief second and reached out with a hand. Perhaps wanting to touch the girl for one last time. However, when the hands of both granddaughter and grandfather interacted, what happened was a heartbreaking scene of the latter dissipating into specks of light, signaling the final destruction of his soul and passing. This spectacle left Yu Shusher stunned like a rock, unable to move an inch further from the spot as she remained in that outreaching pose. Grandfather, she murmurs this while weeping silently. Grandfather not only died, but his soul, it's also gone. Who in the world have such hatred for grandfather that they wouldn't let his soul move on? Collapsing into a crouching pose after losing all strength, the girl cusped her own head in pain that left her crying out in agony. Shusher, how many people know about your grandfather coming here to find the ice fruit? Healer Yu finally spoke up, his face cold and hurt. Still sobbing uncontrollably, only those in the celestial palace know about it. Then it's undoubtedly Yun Roashi who's behind this. Only the celestial palace and the demon realm's king have the power to kill your grandfather. I'm sure the demon king didn't move against us, that leaves only those we know. Of why Healer Yu was so certain Ditsang didn't do it was because they took a short detour to the demon city prior to coming here. From the information he got, the man never left the city. Let's go Shirshir, it's time we made that woman pay. That said, the old elder picked up the corpse of his disciple and dragged the girl away with him. Of course, this entire event remains unknown to Bai Yen, who should have been close enough to notice the new arrivals. Unfortunately, the illusionary spell they are in has cut her and her companions off from the outside world, making them the only ones being kept from leaving. Secret of the Amulet. 1. Shrouded in a shade of yellow as the sun sets for the night, the Holy Dragon Mountain looks like it's made of pure gold, a scene surreal and mesmerizing. In light of this beautiful scene, the party that's currently trekking through the landscape didn't find it so beautiful, rather it's starting to wear down on their minds. Yen, Amo Li Shang continues to follow from behind while carrying the unconscious dragon girl, his face starting to show a bit of fatigue. We've been walking here for a very long time, do you want to find a place to rest for the night? Me and Molly, Piggy, can go explore the road ahead instead while you and Xiachen rest. Bai Yan's finger visibly shook somewhat at the suggestion. Subconsciously reaching up to her neck to grasp onto the jade necklace, she closes her eyes to recall back to the beginning of this whole ordeal. It's already been half a month since they started to wander aimlessly around the mountain, yet the exit was nowhere in sight. At this rate, she's certain her husband would go crazy without news returning. No Shan, we need to keep going. I refuse to believe some simple illusionary spell can trap me here. Shooting her eyes open again, a flicker of resolve returns to the woman. Exactly like the demon queen suspected, Di Tsang became very worried after getting no information or news from his wife. At first he trusted Bai Yen to return on her own, but that trust soon turned to dread as the days dragged on. Without another thought, the husband began sending his own soldiers to the Holy Dragon Mountain to search for his family's whereabouts. Yet, instead of returning with good news, they reported that Bai Yen and Bai Xiachen were gone without a trace to follow. If not for the connection within their souls due to the binding contract, he might have exploded into a furious rage and burned the entire celestial realm into cinder. While things were falling into a huge mess on the demon realm side, the celestial palace wasn't faring so well either. Right after Healer Yu returned with Yu Shirshir in tow, the pair began to raise hell across the board. They wanted justice for Senior Yu's death and their anger was directly pointed towards Yun Roashi. The student and master claimed the old witch sent assassins in secret to carry out the deed, which shocked many of the public. Naturally a long series of quarreling ensued as a result of this incredible accusation. Healer Yu wanted Yun Roashi's head, while the keepers defended the old witch saying there's no evidence. Even so, the main lady herself had already been scared out of her mind by the added attention. Before anyone knew, Yun Roashi had snuck out of the celestial palace on her own and headed for the demon city. Inside the new demon palace, Winger was currently standing watch over two little milk buns that were playing in the garden. Unlike before he came here though, that smile of his while watching the kids didn't look like a zombie anymore, but a genuine expression of warmth. Suddenly, the bird felt a tremor in his heart, causing that beautiful face to shudder and reveal a look of pain. He knows, the time has finally come. Roashi is here, she's summoning me. Uncle. Just as Winger's about to turn away to meet the dreaded old witch, a crisp and beautiful young voice calls out from behind, causing his body to freeze up. Secret of the Amulet. 2. Di Ling Yen. The cuddly and adorable little princess blinks and blinks as she asked, Uncle, are you leaving now? Will you come back? For some unknown reason, just hearing the baby girl's cuddly voice was enough to melt Winger's heart and bring sunshine to his world. Showing a faint smile as he replied, Princess, I'm only going out to take a breather, I have no intention of leaving, so be assured. Over the years, aside from the brief moment of warmth he experienced in that deep dark void, no other light has come into his world. And this warmth, he's getting it again from Di Ling Yen right now. That's why the girl, it's another light for him. Then uncle, you need to come back early and not be like mother. After mentioning that, Di Ling Yan's head visibly deflated like she's sad, mother left for so long, I really miss her. Why did she take big brother and not me? Taken aback there, Winger softens up his voice to comfort, Her Highness didn't take you because of safety reasons. There are many people out there who want to hurt you. Why? Raising her little head in a naive manner only reserved for a child of her age, I've always been good and obedient, never doing anything wrong. Why do people want to hurt me? Although the girl was more sensible and smarter than the average baby, she's still only a baby. Regardless of her intellect, it's unreasonable to expect her to be more mature and aware of the world. In return, the bird man could only lower his eyes as well. That's right, she didn't do anything wrong, yet the Celestial Palace still wants her dead and won't let her go. Why is the world like this? Why is it so cruel and dark towards the kind ones? Because, Winger's voice sounded shaky and pessimistic, some bad people do things for no reason, so, Your Highness, you be good and stay in the palace. No one can hurt you while you're here. Biting her thumb, okay, I will be good. If I be good then mother will come back quickly. It's the first time she's been away from her mother for so long, hence the strong level of yearning for Bai Yan's return. Then I'll come back soon as well after taking a stroll. Feeling the tug from the old witch again, the bird man couldn't stay anymore and decisively turned for the exit. Unbeknownst to him though, right as he did so, a shadow has been tailing him from the rear. Above the quiet mountain road, Winger could soon see that familiar figure anxiously scanning the area for him. There were countless emotions spilling forward then, but more leaned towards helplessness and pain. Why did you come so slowly? I've called you a few times already. Can't you move faster? Scolding and harsh in her voice, Yun Roashi only had negative emotions swelling out after recognizing who it was. Sure enough, the moment they were close enough, the old witch actually went ahead to slap him across the face. This slap, the bird man did not avoid it, only bearing it bluntly and allowing the trace of blood to leak from the corner of his mouth. Once again, the warmth he had earlier disappeared, replacing it only with a cold expressionless one. I had something to do earlier, that's why I'm late. Secret of the Amulet, 3, Something to do. What is there more important than me? Do you know how much I've been wronged in the Celestial Palace? That old fart Yu's apprentice died, and now Yu Shusher is pinning the blame on my head without any evidence. Where were you at the time? While yelling out her grievances, Yun Roashi visibly shook across the body due to her own rage. Yet, the old witch apparently forgot something crucial, all this happened because of her own foul tongue and not anyone else. Originally Winger still wanted to defend himself by explaining, but his sight soon noticed the patch of blood staining the woman's chest. You're hurt. What do you think? It's that blasted you and his precious girl Yu Shusher. They almost killed me before I came here. Baring her teeth in a vicious manner, she huffs a grunt before continuing, You useless thing, you can't do anything, not even to protect me. Winger simply hung his head there, I can take you away from the Celestial Palace, as long as you're willing, I can take you away. Then those people won't be able to hurt you anymore. Leave the Celestial Palace. Why should I leave? I have the protection of Keeper Ling and the others, why should I be afraid of a head alchemist like you? Clenching her fist to reveal a murderous glint along those eyes, enough, I came to you this time for one thing, go to the Demon Palace and kill the young prince. I want his beast core. The bird man's body visibly froze, not moving an inch like a statue. I'm sorry, but I told you before, I can't do it. Winger, have you forgotten how Bai Yan treated me? I am your life-saving benefactor. Do you not hate her in the way she treats me? Livid and green across the face now, Yun Roashi's expression grew tenser and tenser until that voice started to screech. But instead of showing concern, Winger opened up his eyes in a confronting manner. Roashi, is what you say about the demon queen abusing you really true? Looking at that skeptical face, the old witch actually shuddered like she's been exposed. What do you mean by that? Why would I lie to you? I don't know. A smile bordering on the line of mockery reveals itself from the man, showing he's starting to doubt the supposed truth in his world. How could Bai Yen raise such a well-behaved daughter and be vicious? It doesn't make sense, none of this makes sense. How dare you? Stepping forward to do another slap, the old witch held nothing back and caused the man's cheek to go red and bruised up. Huffing a grunt at the injury, Winger didn't retaliate, only quietly standing there like usual. I owe you, that I admit, so I will bear with whatever you wish of me. However, I won't help you murder an innocent child. Unlike his past deeds of murdering and assassination, he has never killed the innocent and young. That's his final straw that he won't break. Even if the other side that's demanding it was his benefactor and savior in that dark abyss. Ha, alright, fine. If you won't help me kill the brat, then I will kill you instead. Flushing red across the face, Yun Roashi looked like an insane bitch that would tear the other side apart. If he is of no use to me, then why should I keep him? In an instant, a dark shimmering blade of deadly light materializes from the old witch's sleeve, its tip pointing straight for the man's throat. Winger knows what she intends to do, even so, he didn't move, only making a helpless smile as he closes his eyes in acceptance. A life given, and now a life taken. If she wants my life, then so be it. If not for her, I wouldn't have kept going until this day anyways. However, right as the lethal blade was about to make contact and slice through that throat, an old hand unexpectedly reaches over and caught the sword mid-thrust, leaving only a millimeter of space before it could cut. Secret of the Amulet. 4. You betrayed me. Staring rigidly at the old figure gazing down at herself, Yun Roashi splutters this out with vicious intent. Winger was equally as stunned like the former. When he saw and recognized the person, he immediately showed a helpless smile along the mouth. Uncle Dragon Flame, how come you are here? Shaking his old head in disappointment, the old goat looks like a saddened elder after discovering their young has failed in something. From the first day you appear, I knew you were not quite right and was up to something. I reported this to the king and was ordered to follow you at all time. To think I was right and you were colluding with the outsider. Hanging his head in an apologetic manner, the bird man had no excuse. I'm sorry, Uncle Dragon Flame, she is my benefactor, I have no other choice. Even if she continued to grow crueler and crueler to him, he still couldn't bring himself to abandon her, hence the reason he came out at the summoning. Benefactor? So that means she can treat you like garbage just because she saved your life. Smile if her mood pleases, then stomp on you if her mood is foul. Donning a sarcastic grin at the mention, no wait, from the way I see it this old hag can never be happy. You are a member of the Pteroraptor Crow clan, how can you degrade yourself as such? Imagine what your father would say if he learns of your current state. Maybe he would stuff you back into your mother's belly and have you remade. Winger continues to shake his head in the old witch's defense. You don't understand, Uncle Dragon Flame. She is the light in my heart. It was she who saved me and brought warmth to my heart in that lonely darkness. No one knows what kind of place he lived in back then. It's lonely, dark, and without light. More than once, he thought of committing suicide to end the torture. If not for that brief speck of light coming into his life, he would have long left this world due to decay. Yes, I don't understand, but I have a sense of self-esteem. If you hadn't shown the goodness that's in your heart just now and refused to listen to this vile hag's order, I wouldn't have saved you either. Uncle Dragon Flame, cutting the other side off with a cold snap of his glare, the old goat wouldn't hear any of it. You scram over to the side, I'll first deal with this woman then deal with you. He always knew Winger had some motive, just not this level of betrayal. Colluding with someone from the Celestial Palace was a crime worthy of death. Fortunately the lad didn't lose the last ounce of his consciousness, otherwise he might have had to kill him with his own hands. Murdering a friend's child doesn't sit well with the old goat's heart at all. Guilty along the face, Winger didn't dare talk back and hung his head. "Uncle, can we not kill her? Consider it as my way of returning the debt." Instead of saying yes like a good elder, the old goat only smirked derisively. "You mean to spare her, someone that wants to murder the royal family? Ha! Who do you think you are? Me and your father are only old friends, based on what can you ask of me to let her go?" Winger had no way to counter that logic. Yes, the old goat was only his father's friend, based on what could he himself ask this of the elder? In fact, he now owes Dragon Flame for saving him from Yun Roashi's blade. Snorting at that pathetic and speechless face, the elder returns his attention to the old witch to finish the deed. However, as soon as he did so, his eyes immediately fell upon the crescent-shaped moon amulet along the neck. That thing. How come it's so familiar? It's like I've seen it somewhere. Secret of the Amulet 5, he gently closed his eyes, allowing the image of a young human to emerge from the deep passage of his memory. It's a female donning a red dress of amazing makeup, and hanging along her neck was that crescent-shaped amulet. This. Why is it on you? This amulet is clearly that woman's. Moreover, that woman has now become the demon realm's current queen. Although Bai Yen hasn't admitted to being the same person in Dragon Flame's memory from many millenniums ago, he could still recognize her through the aura coming off of the soul. It's identical, an unmistakable trademark of the individual regardless of how many incarnations they go through. Why is the queen's stuff on this woman? Yun Roashi's expression promptly changed for the worse. Grabbing the amulet in a protective manner, "What do you mean by that? This thing is mine, what's wrong with it being on me?" Dragon Flame narrowed his eyes in like a fierce beast eyeing a prey. "Quit trying to deceive me with your nonsense. That thing on your neck clearly belongs to that." When he was about to speak the last bit, his tongue stopped and changed the wording to a more proper term. "That amulet clearly belongs to the queen, so how can it be yours? No wonder I haven't seen it on her highness's neck at all, it's been stolen by you." Boom! As if struck by lightning on a sunny and clear day, Yun Roashi went deathly pale at being exposed. Why does the old man know about the moon amulet? Why does he know it belongs to that bitch Bai Yen? You're talking nonsense. Eager to hide her own guilt, she snaps back in a frantic manner like a banshee's howl. "What right does a person like Bai Yen deserve to have my amulet? This thing is clearly mine. It was she who stole it from me for a while before I managed to take it back." No matter what, she's not going to admit anything, even if the other side already knew the truth. However, it doesn't mean others are going to buy her story just like that, especially Winger, who's been standing there and listening in with strong intention. The Birdman only appeared skeptical at first after hearing the story from the old goat, but that skepticism soon changed to shock before evolving into an eerie calm. "Uncle Dragon Flame. This amulet, it belongs to Roashi, are you mistaken?" Even if he tries to hide it, one could tell the swirling emotions in Winger's unsteady voice. His heart couldn't bring itself to believe it, not because of blind belief, but rather of fear for all the pain and suffering he endured. What if Roashi deceived him for all these years? Wouldn't that mean he became a dog for someone for no apparent reason? Such humiliation, he simply couldn't accept it. "Ha ha ha, ridiculous, this is too ridiculous." Breaking out into laughter at the questioning look, Dragon Flame almost found it funny that he needed to explain his own claim like it's some ironic scenario. "You ignorant fools even know what that amulet represents. It represents power, talent and strength. The one holding it will control the world, an omnipotent being to rule them all. Why, you may ask? That's because hidden inside that amulet is the secret to great strength, power beyond anything you could possibly imagine. Go ahead, ask that woman over there if she can tap into the secret, come on, I dare you. Laughing to no end, the old goat's voice continued to ring against the birdman's ear like endless mockery. Winger couldn't take it anymore. Stumbling backwards until he's leaning against a nearby tree for support, this poor soul kept shaking his head in disbelief like a man that's been betrayed and destroyed from the inside out. Exposing Yun Roashi. 1. Yun Roashi's heart panicked after seeing Winger's pale complexion. As her most loyal dog, she knows her own lies would turn this one into a rabid dog instead after exposure. If that happens, her life would be in peril. Listen to me, Winger. Biting her lips tightly, she wanted to twist the story to defend herself some more but was immediately cut off by the old goat's snickering sneer. I reckon you don't even know the name of this amulet, do you? Finding there's no response from her loyal dog, the old witch instead turns to glare at the old-timer. Quit trying to spell false stories in front of my face. All knows that I am the wearer of this amulet. Do you think you can just casually come up with a name and call it true? No matter what, she's going to keep denying the amulet was from Bai Yen. But no matter though, the old goat didn't need her agreement and kept talking without a care. This amulet is named All Heaven, and only one person is worthy of owning it. Unfortunately for you though, it's not you. All Heaven. As if some sort of long-lost memory got triggered, Winger tightly grasps onto his own head as he murmured to himself. Why does that name sound so familiar? Where have I heard it before? With a boom, something exploded in his mind and causes that face to go deathly pale. The reasoning? It's because a certain little girl's voice started to ring out from the depths of his memories and brought the truth forward. Actually, the life before I entered the celestial palace is also dark. If not for All Heaven keeping me company during that period, I might have given up hope and died several times over. All Heaven. Aha, it's this amulet here. See? If you can't find me, then go to the celestial palace. Recognize me using the amulet, I'll wait for you there if I don't return in time. In this moment, that calm heart could no longer be calm anymore, like a rippling surface of a pond. How did this happen? How could I have forgotten something so important? That dark place kept him from sensing her aura or recognizing her face, but he never should have forgotten that sentence at all. Why did I forget something so important over time? How could I have forgotten it all? Going from green to white, then white to green, anyone could see the birdman's emotions were very unstable and nearing explosion right now. Why did you deceive me? No longer pained along the eyes, there's only endless fury within Winger's pupil. How many things did he miss because of the deception? How close did he come to making that light within his heart into an enemy? Fortunately, he didn't listen to Yun Roashi's word and did something he would have regretted for life. Why did you deceive me? He asks for a second time, losing all of the warmth and kindness he ever showed to the other side. The old witch naturally cowered backwards at the intimidating pose. What are you talking about? When did I deceive you? This amulet is the queen's belonging. You took it from her. Now tell me the truth, why did you lie to me? Winger almost sounded pleading but also threatening. Exposing Yun Roashi. 2. Don't listen to his nonsense, Winger. You know me for so long, are you really going to believe him over me who has had the amulet from the start? Trying to force a smile that only made her look bleak and untrustworthy, Yun Roashi was betting on their long relationship to prevail. Unfortunately for the old witch though, the birdman only saw the look of panic and guilt along the woman's face that left him numb to the heart. Making a sarcastic smile, then why do you not know about the amulet's name being All Heaven? This, stumped for a proper answer, she bites her lip and forces the excuse, that's because the name is not true, it's something he made up. Winger, you must believe me, I am your benefactor and the one who saved you from that darkness. You said you will protect me forever in this life, did you not? No longer rippling with emotions, nor wanting to explode in rage, Winger only felt a cold chill run down his spine at what was now the absolute truth. The light. The girl back then called the amulet all heaven. To think I would be such a fool. I actually forgot something so important like the very name of the item I was supposed to always remember. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been fooled to such an extent by this Yunroashi either. Closing his eyes in pain, Winger began to go over the many years of humiliation he suffered at the hands of this deceitful old witch. He also doubted why such a kind girl would become so cruel to the point where he didn't want to recognize each other at first. However, Yunroashi's explanation gave him a flicker of hope for change at the time. Like for example, she suffered a severe injury at Bai Yan's hand and couldn't recover, or that her fiancé left because of another woman, that's why she had such a huge change in personality. It all made sense at first, but looking back at it now. Talk about laughable, truly laughable for anyone to ever believe that nonsense. Stumbling back as she sloppily tries to gain some distance, Yunroashi now knew what foolishness meant as she fixed onto the once loyal dog. What did you say? I said, this amulet is called All Heaven, the girl who saved me back then told me this personally. Staring upwards with a frosted glint in his eyes, Winger appeared hostile and murderous. Boom! Like a sunny day being torn away, the old witch stammered for a proper reply. The amulet really is called All Heaven. Why didn't those keepers tell me? How come they didn't know? Once again, the hated image of Bai Yan surfaced within Yunroashi's head. This is all Bai Yan's fault. She never mentioned the name before. It's all her fault. Ho ho, Dragon Flame already knew this would happen after he took action, just not this awesome and spectacular. Winger, you are the heir to the Pteroraptor bird clan, it's shameful for you to have ever believed such a vicious woman. I am vicious. Yunroashi snarls viciously in return at the accusation. If it hadn't been for her existence, would the Lord leave during the marriage night? I was supposed to marry the Celestial Lord, it was Bai Yan who destroyed it all, my happiness. When speaking the last sentence, the eyes of this deceitful witch appeared red and fanatically like she's some sort of mad crazed beast. Celestial Lord? Dragon Flame sounds like he's speaking of something degrading just by mentioning the name. What the heck is that? Don't tell me you're claiming the queen is in love with your whatever lord and stole him away. Oh God, how stupid do you have to be in the head? Compared to my king who rules all of demon kind, your love interest is laughable in comparison. I bet you don't even have the heart of your celestial lord to begin with, that's why he left on his own. You, pointing her finger out at the old goat in utter rage, Bai Yan have always been a vicious person. She has the demon king by her side already, yet she refuses to let Chui God go and seduced him before my marriage night. Only fools like you are dumb enough to be tricked by her wicked ways. Exposing Yunroashi, 3, and me turning into this like today is also Bai Yan's fault. Vicious and malicious in her voice, the old witch grits her teeth when speaking that last bit. Dragon Flame was honestly speechless and didn't know how to comment on that. He knew this woman was a bad one, but not to such an extent. It's downright shameless and illogical. Ha, just then, an old derisive laugh came out of nowhere, followed immediately by the emergence of an elderly figure donning a sleek white robe. Yunroashi, are you intending to surrender yourself by coming alone, or are you here to apologize to the queen for all the past crimes you committed? Recognizing the situation had already left her control by the appearance of another third person, the old witch promptly wanted to turn tail and flee. However, by the time she realizes it, there's already plenty of demon soldiers standing on ready with their spears pointing out. What are you all trying to do? I'm warning you, if anything happens to me then Keeper Ling and the others won't let any of you go. First Elder snickers a laugh at the ridiculous threat. One might think those bastards from the Celestial Palace are going to let us go anyways from the way you said it. Yunroashi, do you remember what you did 1,000 years ago? No answer came from the woman, merely a look of urgency at wanting to run. 1,000 years ago, the celestial realm suddenly came out with word of you being able to save the world, and that our queen will overthrow the world and destroy it. I didn't think much of that rumor, but now it seems those were all you're doing, isn't it? Truth was First Elder had been around the area the entire time, about the same moment when Dragon Flame tailed Winger to this location. But unlike the latter who cut in earlier, he didn't want to show himself just yet since he wasn't instructed to deal with the old witch. However, things have changed now. Since the truth has come out, he no longer wants to stand back since he's one of the few who knew the whole story and more after today's detail being revealed. Pity, our queen did not know your true nature and of how vile and evil you are inside. She kept insisting on you being a good person and ordered everyone to respect you, but I knew better, that's why I had my men shadow you from the very start. But I honestly never thought you were that cruel, murdering a newborn fox when you thought no one was looking. Then, as if that wasn't enough, you fooled those idiotic keepers to attack the queen on your behalf and tried to execute her highness. If not for His Majesty arrival in time, the queen would have died right on that day. Closing his old eyes, First Elder started to recall back to those ancient memories where the events didn't turn out well. But that wouldn't be enough for someone like you, would it? Despite severely injuring the queen and causing the king to give up his essence blood in order to save her highness, you vile scums just won't give up. In the end the queen lost the baby in her belly because of you. Practically screaming now due to the fierce rage he's been suppressing for all these years, First Elder's detailed recount of the past hammered at everyone's heart like they're witnessing all over again. What exactly did the queen do wrong? Why did you treat her like that? Is it because she's too kind and won't discard a backstabbing witch like you? Growling now, ha ha ha, how laughable. Everything you suffered is caused by your own two hands. What injury because you tried to save the queen? Only an idiot would believe something so stupid when we take her highness as our liege. Exposing Yun Roashi, 4, Yun Roashi, Winger sadly closes his eyes. I will never forget how you denigrated her in front of me. Turns out these truths you spout are nothing but lies. I too have been blinded by you for all these years. What irony. Turns out by the time he made it out of that dark place and headed out to search for her, the light in his heart had already left the celestial realm. What makes him even sadder though was the fact that this old witch tricked him, causing him to hate the very girl for all these years. In light of the contemptible look she's getting, Yun Roashi actually showed a smug look. So what, do you hate me now? Don't forget, if it wasn't for me you would still be out there looking for her. If not for me, would you have such a stable lifestyle for the past 100 years? I bet you would have killed yourself if you had learned of her destruction. You wouldn't be alive without me. All in all, she still believes she deserves thanks for lying to the poor guy, not this sort of maltreatment. Against this twisted logic and shameless attitude, Winger didn't find it strange. Heck, it's not the first time he witnessed such behavior, so all he did was glare at her like a soul-slicing reaper. Under the pressure of those eyes, the old witch suddenly started to panic again after realizing what position she was still in. Winger, even if I didn't save you, we've still been together for all these years. I know you have some ties with these demons, so take me away. Afterwards we are clear of any debt between us. Even now, the woman here still wants to use Winger to her own advantage by demanding he save her. Talk about shameless to the core. Yun Roashi, making a crunching sound from his fists when forcing that name out, did you forget the way you treated me all these years? Aside from scolding me, what else have you done? No matter how much I help you, all I get are cold hard words from you. I put up with it because I thought you were her, but now. Forming a condemning smirking, you should be happy I'm not killing you myself, so what qualifications do you have to expect me of saving you? No one could possibly understand the level of pain he felt on the moment he discovered Yun Roashi wasn't the real one. It's enough to send the weaker-minded into insanity, that's how intense those emotions were. You can't kill me. The old witch cries out in fright, Keeper Ling and the others won't let you do this, they will come save me. First Elder was done listening to the rambles of this insane woman. Ignoring the struggling witch, he reaches out with his hand and ripped the moon amulet right off her neck with a swipe. No. This can't happen. I can't lose the amulet. A look of desperation gripped Yun Roashi's face upon touching her own neck. Give that back. Give it back. Without a care for her own safety now, she madly rushes the elder in an attempt to retrieve said item. Unfortunately, this woman clearly doesn't know her own ability and challenged someone she shouldn't have. Following a heavy huff from First Elder and a wave of his sleeve, the shameless and vile witch was instantly repelled several meters into the air, landing only after slamming into the ground and causing a massive outpour of blood from her mouth. The amulet is mine. Bai Yan gave it to me, so it's mine. How dare these people steal my thing? Exposing Yun Roashi, 5, First Elder, what should we do with this woman now? Dragon Flame asks with a frown along his face. Faint and unemotional in his reply, First Elder's gaze showed he was looking at nothing more than a piece of garbage. The queen's stuff is back in our hands now, so there's no reason to keep her alive. Make sure she suffers a lot for what she did. I don't want to make it too pleasing. Yun Roashi had just finished climbing back up to flee again when she overheard that statement. Immediately, a look of horror filled that face. These people, they really want to kill me? No. She cries instinctively. I don't want to die. Stumbling back to gain space, tears filled that face to make her all the more pitiful. If it were those from the Celestial Palace, they would surely take notice and lend a hand. However, these were members of the demon realm. Even if the soldiers here didn't witness the events of the past in person, they could still imagine the heart-wrenching scenes based on the details they got today. Since you like to act all pitiful so much, then I will make sure you can't ever do it again. Swish. Following a casual wave of his hand, a sword swiftly flashed across Yun Roashi's face. The latter didn't react at first, but as the tingling sensation gradually came through, that's when the woman noticed the slight warmth trickling down the cheek. My face, itch. My face. She howls like a banshee, causing those nearest to flinch at the intense screech. Nevertheless, the sound didn't hinder the demon soldiers from enacting their rage at this old witch. They are frustrated and angry as well, but for a different reason of the demon realm being sealed away for a millennium. Scram! Suddenly, a howling roar of intense rage rocked the air, sending the group back and clearing an area away from the screaming woman. Even so, it's already too late for the old witch. Once freed and able to look up again, that face had already been ruined with plenty of bruises and blood. There's nothing left to show what her true contour was before this. Roashi. Keeper Ling went red in the eyes after finding the terrible state the old witch was in. How are you, Roashi? Answer me quickly. Looking up in a dazed-like manner due to how much hurt she suffered, Keeper Ling, are you here to save me? I have come, Roashi. I'm sorry for being so late. Don't be afraid. Now that I'm here, no one can hurt you. Flashing a cold frosted glint in those old eyes towards the demons, they can't do anything to you, and sooner or later, I will make them pay. Going quiet for a few seconds, the old witch simply stared upwards before breaking out into a miserable cry of agonizing pain. Keeper Ling. Healer, you wants to kill me, so I got scared and fled out here. I didn't want to die before being able to save the world, but during my escape, these demons caught me halfway, and that's when I met this man. That said, she points to Winger, he snatched my amulet away, then shamelessly claimed it belongs to Bai Yan. I wanted to take it back, but then they tried to kill me. Growing increasingly irate along the face after finding the missing amulet along the girl's neck, Bai Yan is a traitor to humanity, so how can she be worthy of holding the amulet? They're only jealous of you and wants to steal what's yours. Don't worry, they can never do that because it's your destiny to own it. Exposing Yun Roashi, 6, what you said there is good. First Elder snickers derisively at his foe's sentence, what belongs to others can never be stolen. Ha ha ha. Letting go of the girl, Keeper Ling returns with a mocking sneer of his own that radiated danger. Then we're of the same opinion. I'm here today to overturn the demon realm. If you demons are willing to return the amulet, then perhaps I will let you die swiftly instead of suffering. Otherwise, the fate awaiting you all will be worse than death itself. Retracting his smile, First Elder also got serious along the face. Do you think you scums of the Celestial Palace really have the ability to overcome us from the demon realm? If it wasn't for you lot scheming against our king back then, something like sealing our realm never would have happened, let alone letting you bastards climb above our heads for so long. Oh, is that so? Keeper Ling snickers again in a contemptible manner, like he thought otherwise. Then I will let you know what true power is. I did not want to use this, but you've left me no other way. 1,000 years ago, the keepers as a whole all knew there would come a time where the great calamity would arrive. In order to combat this threat to the world while Yun Roashi couldn't cultivate or grow, they secretly hid away a certain power within their arsenals and never used it even during their clash with the demons. But now with the ever-rising threat of Ditsang and his followers, this old grumpy keeper knew its time. Closing his old eyes, Keeper Ling took a moment to gather his breath before opening them again to reveal a gaze that's as sharp as a blade. Where's the Demon King? Is Ditsang such a coward that he wouldn't dare show his face after murdering one of my own? The comment definitely made the demons gathered here turn very ugly, but as soon as Dragon Flame wanted to retort, that's when an overwhelming force came down from the sky and covered the entire landscape in a layer of strength. For Yun Roashi, who was immediately caught by the sudden appearance of Ditsang, this would be the first time she's meeting this man again after 1,000 years. Even if she already had Chui God in her heart, the woman couldn't deny her heart fantasied of being wooed by such a powerful man. It's also one of the main reasons she hated Bai Yen so much and persuaded the keepers to attack the demon realm. She's jealous. The story actually went like this. On one of the days she secretly followed her former friend to an unknown location. Yun Roashi saw how Ditsang would pester Bai Yen like a shameless dog in order to win her heart. She wanted to feel the same way, be wanted and cherished like a queen. However, nobody acted that way around her due to her lackluster origin and talent. Eventually that jealousy evolved into hatred, causing this old witch to report the incident to Keeper Ling and starting the whole war between the two realms. Demon City's Incident 1. Recalling back to all the different kinds of treatments in the past, Yun Roashi's eyes once again firmed up and showed the vicious side to her nature. She's unwilling to go back to that feeble existence, nor be reduced to an unwanted person like in the past. I hear you are here to make trouble for me. Cool and unemotional, Ditsang gazes down at the foe and asks with a contemptible glare. Huffing a grunt to shirk off the pressure, Keeper Ling doesn't seem fazed though. I'm not here to make trouble for you, I'm here to kill you. As soon as this grumpy elder finished saying that, a long sword immediately materializes from his sleeve and instantly stabs down at the ground, releasing a huge amount of power in doing so. Boom! The floor rumbles, shattering along in veins like a roaring lion, only to be followed swiftly by the constant hammering of electric might from the sky. Then, as if instructed, one of the lightning strikes down and aims directly for the Demon King's head in a devastating fashion. Ditsang evaded with ease, of course, using his incredible speed, but that didn't mean the same for some of the less fortunate demon soldiers that could do nothing to save themselves. They were incinerated, destroyed until nothing but a giant crater remained to indicate they ever existed. This, Winger mutters with rigid stiffness after seeing this. Why? Why are these powers so similar to the ones hunting me? Where did the keepers get such a power? Exactly then, while the bird man was still in hesitation over all this, his ears suddenly caught the loud thud of Dragon Flame crashing to the ground. Uncle Dragon Flame. Running over in haste to help support the old bone, he sounded urgent and afraid. Uncle Dragon Flame, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, it's all my fault this happened, it's all my fault. If it weren't for me, Yun Roashi wouldn't be attracted to this place, nor would Uncle Dragon Flame suffer such a severe injury at the hands of that Keeper Ling. Winger, the old goat heavily grasps onto the birdman's hand while coughing blood. I don't know if I can hold out. If I don't make it, then I hope you can replace me and protect the royal family. Please protect the princess, and the queen. After saying that, the old-timer gradually began to close his eyes like he's depleted. He knew beforehand taking on the thunder would cause severe injury to himself, but to this extent was beyond even his imagination. Unlike the heavenly thunders from a breakthrough or a Dan Pill creation, this thundering event embodied destruction. It destroys everything it touches, regardless of the uninvolved or target. Therefore, even with Dragon Flame's incredible and sturdy body, it penetrated and wreaked havoc across his internal organs. Di Tsung saw this, of course, and the huge fatality happening under his eye. Speaking in a heavy note, "First Elder, take the others back to the city, I will handle this." "But sire, we can't leave you here alone. Even if it's death, we will stand with you. Go back." Di Tsung sounded irate now and shouted, "Go back and protect my children." Normally Keeper Ling would bring along a whole tirade of companies with him. The fact that he's not in here alone meant the others under him must be somewhere else, and where else could they be if Di Tsung was out here? Obviously the city or palace, that's where. A simple trick of diversion wouldn't work with someone as smart as Di Tsung. Demon City's Incident 2, Winger, Dragon Flame, First Elder shouts, "We're going now." Perhaps the Birdman also sensed the deceiving nature of this battle because his eyes promptly shifted to that of panic. Without a second of delay, B bolts for the palace ground, leaving only an afterimage. "Hold on, princess, I'm coming now." The inner courtyard of the Demon Palace. At the current moment, Di Ling Yen was holding her cheeks with both hands while sitting at the staircase and overlooking her twin brother playing away. She's very bothered in the face when speaking to the maid next to herself, "Sister Muing, how come Uncle Winger isn't back yet? Did he leave like mother did?" Upon mentioning Bai Yen, the baby girl's face plummeted even further. "Mother has been gone for so long, I miss her so much." Muing the loyal maid wanted to give her a huge hug at this troubled face but didn't out of respect and loyalty. "Princess, please don't worry, Winger will certainly return to us, the same as Her Highness will." Oh, obviously not fully believing her words, Di Ling Yen didn't argue and instead gathered her spirit to play. However, that's when an anxious and hurried-looking soldier came running over to report. "Your Highness, we've got trouble on our hand. The bastards from the Celestial Palace are attacking us here, you must run away." "What?" Mu Ying's face changed a greater shade of white at the terrible news. The king had just left the palace and they're attacking. How did they know the king is away right now? Gritting her teeth, the maid didn't think twice and picked up the princess in preparation to flee. She promised Bai Yen to protect the baby girl at all cost, even if that meant her own life. Yet, fleeing wasn't exactly in the dictionary of Di Ling Yan's mind right now. Scanning with her big bright eyes at the surrounding area, "Where's my father? His Majesty already went to fight the enemy. Please, you must flee, princess." The soldier cries out again, his face growing more dire by the second. "Will father be in danger? I want to leave with father." Biting her lower lip, the baby girl almost sounded pleading now. "You must go now, Ling Yen." It's then Di Jin Tian, the little glutton, steps in, pushing his twin sister away. "Sister Muing, you take my sister and go now, that's an order." "But prince, you need to come too." Muing also got anxious and tried to reach out with her remaining free hand to lift the boy. Slapping it away with his chubby fingers like a proper man does, Di Jin Tian puffs up his little chest to make himself look bigger than he was. "I am the older brother and a man, so I have to protect my sister. If I escape, then those bad people will find us. When they do, they will surely know of Ling Yan's existence and not let go." Though the little glutton didn't quite express his meaning in a detailed manner, it's more than enough for Muing to understand. I'm not leaving my brother, I'm not leaving." Cry as she might, the baby girl simply didn't have the strength to wrestle out of her maid's arms. You are a man, but I am also a woman. I am not afraid. I don't want to leave you. She continues to make her case to no avail. Seeing the increasing delay, the soldier who first came to bring the message couldn't take it anymore and urged the maid to make a decision. And sure enough, Mu Ying did and handed the crying princess over to the demon soldier's own dismay. You leave with the princess first. I'll stay behind to protect the little prince. Finding only a dumbfounded face from the other side, the maid roars out in order to snap the soldier out of the stupor. Go. Moments later, the image of the messenger was gone with his precious crying cargo in arm. There's no doubt this individual would stake his life on the line in order to ward the princess from all harm, but it's another question on whether he could achieve such a feat with his feeble abilities. Prince, are you afraid? Demon Cities Incident 3, I'm afraid. Jin Tian may have kept up a good appearance initially, but he's still only just a child. Once his twin sister was out of sight, he promptly lowered his mouth into a timid frown as beads of tears rolled down his cheek. But Big Brother said I must protect my sister. Those bad people want to take her away, so I must stay and protect her. Mu Ying naturally knows the little glutton's choice was the right one, so she didn't object to him staying. For the bastards from the Celestial Palace, their information remains limited and doesn't know if Bai Yan gave birth to a girl or a boy. If she really did take both children and ran, it would surely cause a huge mess and they would search everywhere. By then it would be impossible to hide Di Lingyan's existence. Don't worry, Highness, even if it costs me my life, I will ensure your safety. Firm along the face, the maid meant it and held no hesitation. Sister Mu Ying, will father and everyone come save us? And uncle? Uncle left home to find mother. If uncle was here, then I wouldn't need to fear those bad people. They will, they definitely will. Soft in her voice, Mu Ying wants to comfort the baby boy some more when the worst-case scenario occurred. The attackers have arrived at the compound and has surrounded them. Seeing all these ferocious and glaring looks coming his way, Jin Tian instinctively hid behind Mu Ying. It's obvious he's scared right now. This should be the son of that demon king. A man in charge of this attacking force snickers a grin before waving the others to move. Take the boy and tie him up. Let's see if that demon king will disobey us afterwards once we take his son. Keeper Ling never gave up on having Di Tsang's daughter. Even if it's not from Bai Yan's belly, the old bastard still intends to force the issue even if it meant him going at it with another woman. That's how this idea came into existence. By kidnapping Jin Tian, Keeper Ling could then force him to have another baby. Sweaty across his little hands, Jin Tian remained stubborn in the face when speaking. I'm not going to be taken by you bad people. You lot bullied my father. I won't let you people get away with it. The man snorts at the pointless threat. Your father and mother did not listen to our persuasion, that's why they deserve what's coming. You as their son should act better and think of the big picture. What's a simple daughter compared to the whole wide world? They can always make more. Swish. As soon as his words came forward, a small contingent of the attackers had begun to move without further order. Mu Ying saw this of course and hurried to meet the kidnappers with her blade. Thankfully this mission only came with some weaklings led by a couple of high divines, otherwise the loyal maid would never be able to contend with a powerful keeper in their fray. Even so, as middle divine, stalling for time remains a difficult task for the woman who has to fight multiple targets at once. Di Lingyan's Fury, 1, PFF. Suddenly, a strong gush of wind came flying over, slamming right into Mu Ying's shoulder and blasting her backwards from the impact. Blood came pouring out of her mouth as a result of the injury. Sister Mu Ying. Getting all teary along the face after seeing how the maid tried to protect himself, Jin Tian tightens up his lips and asked, Are you hurt? Is it painful? The loyal maid didn't falter though in light of the huge disadvantage she faces. Rather, she's only feeling warmth circulating across her veins right now. From the very beginning, the prince and princess has never once treated her or any palace attendants as servants or anything beneath themselves. So, how could she cower when the time has come to show her mettle? Ignoring the stinging pain, she rushes at the crowd once again, leaving a trail of blood in her wake. There's incredible strength in her eyes right now. At the same time as well, the palace guard who left earlier with Di Ling Yan in arm was about to make it past the palace gates when they bumped into a crazy-looking figure. Going bright at the sight of the baby girl, the crazy old coot that was once the strongest keeper spoke with glee in his voice, "Good Ling Yan, I was just about to go find you to play." "Huh? What's the matter, why are you crying?" Since Bai Yan left, the old coot has done nothing but either playing with the kids or running off by himself to the back mountains for some rest, hence his belated arrival. Crying even harder now over the question, "Great-grandpapa, please go save Jean Tian." "Owu, please hurry and save second brother," not dilly-dally at all. The old coot gets all serious in the face after seeing how terribly sad the girl was. "Where is Jean Tian? Did something happen to him? Second brother is in the backyard. A group of bad people barged into the palace and wants to capture him. I wanted to stay too, but second brother won't let me and said I must flee. Please hurry before they take him away." What? Mad and crazy as he was in the head, the old coot had enough sanity left in him to know what the consequences are if someone intends to kidnap the little glutton. Flaring up with rage, "Which asshole dares to kidnap my good little boy? Don't worry Ling Yan, your great-grandpapa here will go deal with those assholes right now." Having said that, the old coot's figure was gone like a gush of wind. Wiping the tears away, Di Ling Yan also firms up in the face, "Mr. Guard, can you take me to find father? I'm worried about father." Greatly startled by the request, the guard immediately shakes his head, "No. Princess, I can't do that. The king is currently locked in battle with those bastards from the Celestial Palace. If you go then they will certainly know of your existence." Hanging her head after hearing that, "But the one they want to take is me. If I do not show myself then they will continue to hound father and mother. I am their daughter. I won't hide in the shadows while everyone protects me. Father, mother, big brother, second brother and everyone in the palace are all my family. I must also fight to protect them. But princess, the ones from the Celestial Palace will always be our enemy regardless of you showing yourself. Enough, I must take you to a safe place to hide for now." Di Ling Yan's fury, too, "But Mr. Guard, I must see my father. I'm afraid something might happen to him if he's left alone." Grasping onto the demon's shoulder and putting on a pitiful face to play her charm, the baby girl's face could melt hearts if the situation wasn't so dire and permitted it. Unfortunately for both girl and soldier, the two of them weren't going to have the time to make a decision here today. Exactly in the moment when the latter's about to give in due to that face, a series of footsteps startled them and caused the two to look over in the other direction. Among the new arrivals were multiple powerful targets, but the obvious one leading the new group were a kind-looking old man who kept smiling the entire time. Those eyes were locked onto Di Ling Yan, carrying a light of greed and delight at what he's discovered. "Your Highness, it's your father who tasked me to come pick you up." The old man lies without batting an eye. Right away, Di Ling Yan knew that wasn't true and reacted by clinging nervously to the palace guard's neck like the other side would bite if they got any closer. "Don't be afraid," the agitated guard promptly backed off as well to gain some distance. "I believe you got the wrong person. She is not a princess, only an orphan fox picked up by the king somewhere during his travels." Despite the excuse, the smile coming off of the old man there only deepened. "Do you think we can't tell the aura coming off of the child is that of the demon kings? Little girl, don't be afraid, we won't hurt you. Come with us and we will go see your father." The old man's smile was extraordinarily kind right then after that last sentence. He just couldn't help it because the reward awaiting him would be unfathomable, especially when he thought all was lost after coming in late. The guard's heart pumped with adrenaline after the blunt statement. He knew there's no turning back from a fight since they're this close. Worse was the fact that he could have turned back with the old coot to where Di Jin Tian was, that he could find shelter under that former keeper instead of confronting this second group of assailants by being overly cautious. "I'm not going with you," said the little princess with her stubborn face. "You are all bad people, trying to hurt my father and mother and big brother. I won't leave with you." Unfazed and still smiling with that kind expression, "Little princess, your existence is too important to the world for you to be so selfish. Do you want to see the world destroyed?" The girl snorts with her tiny nose. "Don't think you can lie to me just because I'm small. I know you are here to kill me. My mother told me that before already. I have no relationship with you people, so why should I sacrifice myself for you? Mother taught me being kind is all and well, but it's not all right to be foolishly kind." Di Lingyan's fury. 3. In Di Lingyan's view, the only ones that could demand sacrifice from herself would be the ones she cared about. For example, her parents and siblings, or the friends she's made in the palace. Whereas these unknown strangers would be considered just that, strangers that she owes nothing to. The old man's face suddenly sank, causing his smile to disappear completely as well. "If you won't come with us, then that leaves me no choice but to use force. All of you go, take this demon princess down." "Understood." Those that came with the old man promptly drew their weapons and readily charged at the pair. The palace guard could see this of course and understood the time has for him to put his life on the line. Without another thought, he tossed the girl in his arms towards the inner yard as hard as he could to give her the highest chance of getting to safety. Though it's a futile effort and he knows it, the soldier still wanted to do everything in his power before his end comes. "Princess, run away, go find the king." That's the final words the soldier before it got cut off. For Di Yanling, who could only catch a glimpse of the scene once she hit the highest point in the air, the picture was painful to take in even for her immature mind. Bloody, gory, and limbs severed into multiple pieces, that's how quickly the attackers mercilessly murdered the demon soldier who stayed behind to fight. It's a completely one-sided battle that ended in seconds, yet that's all it was needed for help to arrive. Right before Di Lingyan came face to face with the cold hard ground, she had closed her eyes for the impending hurt. However, the impact never came in her shyness from pain, rather it's the sensation of a powerful pair of arms catching her mid-fall. "Princess," Winger gently whispers his words into her ear. "I'm sorry for being late." Obstructed by her own tears, the girl cries while speaking incoherently, "Hick. Hick. Did I do something wrong?" "No, how could you have done anything wrong, princess?" Winger found it absolutely distressing to hear such sensible words. "It's not right to demand this of someone so young. If I've done nothing wrong, then why do these people hate me so much? I've listened to mother's teaching and kept my heart pure and kind. Why does second brother have to sacrifice himself to protect me? And why does Mr. Guard back there have to die to protect me? I want to grow up, I want to grow up just as strong as big brother. That way I can keep others from being hurt because of me, nor die for me." That's right, in this poor princess's view, the only way she could stop all this pain was to become stronger. "Princess, he's a demon guard, it's his duty to protect you." "No. He and Sister Muing are my friends. Everyone in the demon realm are my friends. The ones that deserve to die are those bad people and not them. Yes, the ones to die should be the evil and bad ones, not the friends and family in her life." And for the first time ever, a flash of hate and anger filled those big innocent eyes of this pure child, tainting a small speck of her childish heart. It's then, First Elder and the others also arrives on the scene. They could see the state of the situation, but they were more concerned with the intruders from the Celestial Palace who had also chased over after removing the obstacle. "It seems the king is right. You lot really came to attack the palace while we were out. How dare you lay a hand on the princess? Huffing a grunt in an irate manner, First Elder was glaring daggers at the bunch, but now you can forget about ever leaving this place alive. The old man leading the second group of attackers only snickered a laugh at the idle threat. Is that so? Shame though, I've already had some of my subordinates run off to inform Keeper Ling about the princess's existence. Now whether it be the Demon King or Demon Queen, or even the Demon Realm for that matter, none of you need to exist anymore. What? Darkening in the face, First Elder's voice grew dreadfully cold, like he wants to snap the other side's neck. Sneering some more after getting the reaction he wanted, do you know why the Celestial Lord never moved against the Keepers despite his hatred for them? It's because they hold an ancient relic in their hands. It's an incredible weapon containing power capable of destroying everything, and such a relic can only be activated by the Keepers themselves. Di Ling Yan's fury. 4. The old man's smile deepens like a tactician winning a battle. Guess what, Keeper Ling only held back against your king because he needs him to produce a daughter for us. Now that we have one right here, what makes you think he will let that abhorrent Demon King live once news gets to his ear? Without surprise, First Elder's expression devolved into an ugly frown. He's all too aware of what the other fellow was implicating by that threat. The power from that strange lightning caused by the sword from earlier still left his heart trembling with fright. It's overwhelmingly powerful and destructive to the point where even he has to watch out from being struck head-on. Clenching his fist until it's slightly shaking, don't look down on the king of the demon realm. I can say for certain even if all the keepers from your celestial palace gathered here today, it would only end up in a deadlock between both sides. Ha ha ha. The old man laughs some more like he's just heard something hilarious. That would be the case if you hadn't touched Lady Roashi. She is the future savior of our world. What qualifications do you animals have in targeting her? That's why Keeper Ling brought out the ancient sword for this fight. He's not messing around anymore, you see. The power of the ancient artifact may be powerful and terrifying, but it's a consumable item that could only be used once after being fully activated, hence its lack of appearance in the battle 1,000 years ago. Uncle Winger, Di Ling Yan hurries to tug at her protector's shoulder after getting all anxious. I want to go see my father. Hurry and take me to my father. Great-grandpapa already went to Jin Tian's side, so he will be fine. I must make sure father is okay. Princess, Winger sounded hesitant despite the plea. Unbeknownst to everyone else, that lightning from earlier was practically the same power that's been hunting him for all these years. Imagine hiding for all your life from a nightmare, and now you're being asked to confront said nightmare. Who wouldn't be scared? Nevertheless, once he took another look at the baby girl in his arms and that tearful face, the bird man just couldn't refuse. Nodding his head with a firm light, okay, I'll take you to him. Even if I have to risk my life at being discovered, I must go. I owe it to the queen. I can't repay the debt to her now. That leaves her daughter the princess. Back over in the Holy Dragon Mountain. Bai Yan has been continuing to trek through the thick shrubberies when her temple ached with a throbbing pain, causing the woman to stare up into the sky with a frown. Mother, is something wrong? Noticing the oddity, Bai Xiachen quickly asks with his curious face. Gripping her chest like something's wrong, Xiachen, we need to hurry and find a way out. I fear something might have happened back home. How can this be? Di Tsang is watching over the demon city. There's no way something can happen while he's there. Am I overthinking this? Yen, look, Mo Li Shang, the young man suddenly calls out from the front, his voice sounding surprised by what he's pointing at. Looking over as instructed, Bai Yan too was surprised by the scene. It's a huge lake of icy blue color which reflected the sky like a crystal mirror. Dragon Spirit Lake. Molly the winged piggy promptly jumped out of his master's arm and started to flap his wings excitedly. Hurry, Queen Mother, we need to put Dragony into the lake. The lake water will help her wake up. Despite her own woes about a strange lake that seems to appear out of nowhere, Bai Yan wasn't going to doubt the little fella's decision. From the very beginning, This piggy has done nothing but look out for her goddaughter with no indication of that ever changing. Di Ling Yan's fury. 5. Originally this cold lake should have been enough to turn any person into a greenish hue due to the insane low temp, but as Bai Yan slowly placed the girl into the water, what came of it was nothing short of serene. There's a little bit of flush red filling Dragony's face, making her look like someone that's peacefully asleep. Do you feel it as well? Bai Yan turns to Mo Li Shang, the young man, after checking the air. The atmosphere here is very thick with spiritual energy. It's a suitable location for training. The young man nods in agreement. Indeed. Unfortunately, I don't have time to train here now. Let's look around first. There's bound to be a way out of this place. The panic and unease have grown much stronger by this point, making the woman more urgent to return to her husband's side. Okay. Sensing the tension as well, Mo Li Shang didn't dally around and quickly began the search. It's then, something up ahead caught their eye that seems to appear out of nowhere. Standing at a person's height was a monument with several words etched along the surface. To break is a demi-divine lord. Demi-divine lord? What does that mean? Mother, Bai Xiachen tugs at Bai Yan's hand. This monument says demi-divine lord. Does that mean we need to break this monument with a demi-divine lord? Does that mean we can leave after we break it? A shudder breaks into Bai Yan's heart, causing her hands to clench into a ball in the process. But how can I spare the time to advance into the demi-divine lord level? The city is under attack and I'm supposed to sit here and train. Making an extremely frustrated face. Why? Why must I fall into this forsaken place at this time? Why does the city have to be attacked while I'm away? I can't do this. I must return to Di Tsang's side right now. Bang! Not hesitating, Bai Yan throws a heavy punch at the monument. The force used could crush a rock, but instead of showing a single crack, the recoiling force from the impact actually bounced her back to the ground. Mother! Greatly startled by the turn of event, Bai Xiachen didn't think twice and threw himself to her side. Mother, you will be hurt if you continue to hit it. I don't want you to be hurt. It's okay, son, move aside and let me do this. We can't stay here and continue this endless wait while your father is in danger. Climbing up again, Bai Yan pummels her fist for a second time and roused a similar outcome. Not conceding, the attack continued, only to repeat itself time and time again. Eventually blood came seeping out of the woman's messed up fingers that had clearly been scratched to the point of showing bones at some point. Demi-divine lord, why is it only a demi-divine lord that can break this? I refuse to believe that's the only way. Even if I'm only at the high divine stage, I will break this blasted rock. No one can stop me from going back to Di Tsang's side, let alone a monument in this forsaken place. Yen Yen. Mo Li Shang sounded distressed now, especially when his gaze fell upon the female's hand. He wants to stop her from doing this, of course, but against that strong level of determination, he just couldn't bring himself to do it. Moreover, he's far too aware of how much Bai Yan loves Di Tsang. To ask his friend there to stay put and train patiently would be equivalent of killing her while the husband was in danger. Very soon, a trickle of blood came trickling down the woman's lip due to the continuous recoiling force of her punches. She's at the point of sustaining an internal injury if she keeps this reckless assault up. Dragony's father. 1. Click. From out of the blue, a crisp sound rang out from the study structure. It's a clear sound that echoed across the environment. Mo Li Shang was the first to react here and he could see the cause of that sound. Right in front of his eye was a small tiny crack along the stone surface. Though it's hardly worthy to be called a crack, but it's more than enough to make him gawk. How can it be? That monument clearly said that only a demi-divine lord can break it. Yen Yen is only at the high divine level, how did she manage to make a crack on it? For a while, the look self-doubt was all that was plastered along the young man's face. He's obviously having trouble believing his own eyes despite reality being in front of himself. Bai Yan on the other hand didn't let up though. She's unimpressed and continued to barrage the monument further and at an increasing ferocity, until... boom! Like a rocket making impact on its target, the structure suddenly exploded under the final punch from the woman's fist. She's expended after this achievement. Collapsing backwards like a wilting flower, Bai Yan's condition wasn't any better than the very thing she destroyed at this moment. Mother! Bai Xiachen cried out and dashed over to catch the falling body. The child wanted to do something to help elevate that pale complexion, but all he managed was a reckless frolicking of his arms in the air like a clueless dote that he was in these situations. Exactly like his old man. Mother! Does it hurt? It's my fault, I couldn't help you. In the steambun's view, he's a man of the family and should be the one carrying the weight of any problem. It didn't help his consciousness either when he saw those messed up fingers of Bai Yan's. I'm fine, she forcibly pulls herself back up from the ground and scanned the area for change. The monument is broken, why are we still stuck here? Yen, Amo Li Shang runs forward and picks up a yellow scroll from the spot where the rubble was. This appeared after the stones shattered. I believe there's a clue in it. Taking it over without a second of delay, Bai Yan quickly opened it and read the content to her own surprise and frown. If the monument is broken by a demi-divine lord then one shall stay forever. If broken by one not of thee, they shall stand after the break. By now Bai Xiachen had also gotten a look at the scroll by gleaming up from the side. Cringing up his face in confusion, what does that mean, mother? What is this stand after break? The woman didn't answer her boy's question though, only tightly clenching onto the scroll and making a deep frown. Xiachen, Amo Li Shang steps in to explain, I speculate the meaning is that the stone monument can easily be broken by a demi-divine lord's power, however, it also means they will be forever trapped here if one did so. Respectively, those that are beneath said level like your mother may not have an easy time breaking the monument, but it's possible and it's the key to our escape from this place. This time the party has gambled it right and it's also due to Bai Yan's love for Di Tsang. If not for that powerful emotion, they might have really stayed to do as the word said. By then they really would have been trapped for good. Dragony's father, too, is that so? Bai Xiachen nods like he's enlightened now before turning back to Bai Yan, but then why is mother ignoring me? Mo Li Shang also noticed this oddity at this point. Furrowing his brow while looking over, Yen. Unfortunately for the two lads there, their words aren't going to reach the woman's ear at this moment because something else was happening under their very eyes. Right now inside Bai Yan's mind, a haze of fog blinds her sight of view. Where is this place? Who's messing around? She scans the front vigilantly for signs of attack. It's then as if to answer her call, a surreal voice speaks out from all directions, Fated One, if you are able to come to this place then that means my daughter is with you, right? Daughter? A slightly confused look took hold of Bai Yan's eye. There are only two females in their party. One being herself and the other being her goddaughter. And if she remembers correctly and without fault, Dragony should be the daughter of the former dragon chief from the demon realm. It doesn't add up regardless of how she calculated it. Your daughter. You mean Dragony, my goddaughter? Frowning now along the face and speaking in a hostile tone, I know for a fact she is the daughter of the former dragon chief from the demon realm, why are you impersonating her birth father? The voice clearly sounded pleased based on its tone despite the aggressive attitude from the other side. You are not wrong in your assumption. Technically speaking, I am her father from a previous life. Due to some unforeseen circumstances, I had to seal her soul up until the opportunity presented itself. In this case, she went into the wheel of life and was reborn as you said, the daughter of that former dragon chief in your memory. A surprised face promptly gripped Bai Yan's expression because she knew all along something was amiss when she met Dragony. The attachment she held towards the girl was strange to say the least, especially when they never met before until her first arrival at the Demon Realm's palace. In light of her own shock, Bai Yan didn't hurry to follow up with more questions, rather she gathered her wits to get to the bottom of the current dilemma. Then what is this place that I'm in? If Dragony is your daughter, does that mean anyone else can also come here if they had her with them? No, the voice sounded faint and distant, that is not the case. The reason I allowed you in here is of my own choice. I sense the blood that is yours inside my daughter's vein, that's why I brought you in here when you picked up the scroll housing my soul. It's also why I am calling you a fated one. Blood? He must be referring to the essence blood I used to save Dragony. To think the reason why I wound up here is because of that. I'm assuming you didn't summon us in here just to recognize your daughter, is it? There must be another reason as well. Perhaps it's due to the voice's relationship to her own goddaughter, but Bai Yan's tone also softened up when searching the area for signs of the source. You don't have to look for me, I won't come out with my current appearance. It will certainly frighten you if I did so after going through that event. Furthermore, I can't either even if I wanted to because my continued existence can only be prolonged by staying within the scroll. So, I will have to bother you to keep watch over my daughter in the future. Event? What event are you talking about? You're too weak the way you are to ask for that detail. Fated one, there are things in this world that aren't fit for the weak to know. Secondly, I didn't summon you into the world of the scroll for such talks, I'm here to give you an aiding push. Immediately, Bai Yan's forehead had cringed up into a knot after hearing his intentions. She was just wondering if the so-called event was related to the calamity that's being mentioned by the Celestial Palace, but to be told she's going to get help from a stranger's voice. Now that's something she never expected. Dragony's father, 3, how can you help me? I will give you the rest of my strength to help you advance into further heights, afterwards I will return to my slumber. But my daughter. I will have to bother you to keep caring for her in the future with the power I give you. Boom! Just when Bai Yan wanted to open her mouth, a stinging sensation suddenly filled her head and made the woman flinch. Before she knew it, an outside force bordered on the line of invasiveness entered her veins and gathered into the meridian. My daughter hasn't woken up yet, so you can put her in this place for a while. No one can step foot here, she's safe, and the flying pig around you, let him stay and look after my daughter too. Oh, and your son is quite good from the way I see it. If later on he can cope with the upcoming changes, then I will promise him my daughter. As icing on the cake, there's also a demon sealed within the ice lake here. If your son ever gets strong enough to reach the demi-divine lord level, have him come possession of it. For a moment, Bai Yan wanted to smack herself to see if this was real. Why does Dragony's father sound like a market madam that's constantly yapping away without end, long-winded and endless jibbery-jabby? But why a demi-divine lord? Is there a reason for that? Because that place can only be reached if one is a demi-divine lord. In the voice's view, this was the only gift he could offer outside of the power he's going to give her. For saving Dragony's life, and for allowing himself to meet his precious daughter again. You can rest assured, tightening up her hands in a firm manner, no matter what happens, I will not abandon Dragony. She is like family to me. I won't abandon family. I believe you, how could he not believe Bai Yan? A human woman who would take her own essence blood out for a demon, that's something he's never heard of during his period alive. I also want to ask one last question, how do I get out of this place? The voice didn't hesitate and answered right away like he expected it, that's easy, you couldn't leave before because I wanted you to come here. Now that I've met you, the obstacle will naturally clear out on its own if you continue to walk down the mountain path. After saying this sentence, the strange presence simply disappeared. Bai Yan understood why, of course. Without energy to support his own soul, the voice was bound to fall back into slumber until it regenerates enough to function. The issue was when? Days? Months? Or years? Unaware of how long the time has passed in her current state, Bai Yan's body had started to tremble excessively due to the surging power from within. She never experienced such force before, which felt like it's going to make her flesh burst. Even so, the mind was the key here. As long as she's able to overcome the mental and spiritual test provided by being fast-tracked in her growth, the power would be hers to wield. Mother, Bai Xiachen asks again from the real world, what's wrong? Why are you ignoring me? And suddenly making a breakthrough? And 2 stages in a row. Directly from a bottom divine to a high divine. As if to answer his call, Bai Yan suddenly moves again. Reaching out with her hand, she rubs the boy's head in a soothing motion. Don't worry Xiachen, I only met Dragonie's father just now. This place is also made by him. Dragonie's father? The steam bun lights up in the face, but isn't she the daughter of the former dragon chief? How did you meet him? Well, it's a difficult thing to explain, but everyone has a past life, right? This father is one of Dragonie's past father and not the one you know of. Dragonie's father, 4, Bai Xiachen makes a face like he's enlightened. Now I understand mother. So, what did Dragonie's father say? Smirking mischievously, Bai Yan throws the bomb down like a sly fox. He said to betroth Dragonie to you. Oomph. Mo Li Shang instantly started to cough like he's been hit in the stomach. How old are the kids? They're already talking about betrothal. And it's done by the parents' own mouth. Then, as if recalling something, the young lad slowly sneaked a peek to the winged piggy next to himself. He wanted to find if there's any change in the little fella's expression, but found none to his own relief. It seems I was overthinking the matter before. Molly only wants to protect the girl in the purest sense and not anything else. Mother, the steam bun gets unhappy and buries his frowning face into the woman's belly. I don't want a wife, I only want to stay by your side. Also, Dragonie is my sister. If me and her marry, then wouldn't that be considered incest? Bai Yan's face visibly twitched over the last bit. You're not blood related, so it doesn't matter. You're still young, so you will understand this in the future. The boy merely tilted his head like a lost child. Will I really understand in the future? Then mother, how are we supposed to get out of here? Looking up to face the downward slope, Bai Yan makes a meaningful face. We need to continue down the path, this place won't stop us anymore. However, Dragonie needs to stay here under her father's request, along with Molly to watch over her. Mo Li Shang was the first to react to that statement since it involved his companion. Making a reluctant glance to his little buddy, okay, you stay and protect Dragonie while she's asleep. Me and Yen Yen will leave together. Although the lad and his piggy companion did agree to split up before, but to actually have the pair go ahead with such an idea was still painful for the pair. Showing tears along his piggy face, Master, I will be sure to protect Dragonie so you can be assured. Regarding this arrangement, Bai Yan didn't have any objections. In her view, there must be a reason why the voice insisted on the piggy to stay behind. Mother, doesn't it hurt? Bai Xiachen carefully raises the woman's hand with a look of pain over the revealing bones. I will blow on it. Before you would always blow on my wound if I got hurt, so you will be fine too. That said, the boy promptly began to puff up his cheeks to give it a big huff of air like it would do something. Still hurt? Of course not, you silly, rubbing her son's head in a happy fashion. We will go back now. Your father and siblings are waiting for us. What needs to be done has been done on this account. Now all that leaves was to confront the enemies coming at them, and whatever fate holds for her and her husband, Bai Yan intends to meet it together. The sky above the demon city has already been shrouded in dark looming clouds. It's uncomfortably suffocating under the constant hammering roars of the thunder. Even so, a single figure remains standing with no fear in his eyes. Such a being exuded dominances and power. Keeper Ling. Suddenly, an excited voice came over from the rear and landed on the conceited keeper's side. Dragonie's father, 5, what's going on? The grumpy keeper asks using a deep voice after seeing how excited the other Sid was. I have wonderful news, Keeper Ling. The demon realm actually has a princess that's only 2 years old. Back then the demon queen didn't just give birth to one, but a pair of twins. Boom! The messenger's words were like a beaming ray of sunshine for the keeper, causing him to choke for a proper response to describe his own ecstatic emotion. In contrast to the delight felt by the members of the Celestial Palace, Yun Ruoshi didn't feel so happy right now. She's downright distraught at the outcome regarding her own fate. Why? Why is there a princess in the demonic world, and that Winger would hide the fact from me? What am I supposed to do? If Keeper Ling really manages to kidnap the princess, then I will have to carry the burden of saving the world. That bastard, is he trying to kill me by lying? Hatred has long filled the woman's heart, therefore the news only added to her vile nature. You are saved, Ruoshi, you are saved. Keeper Ling couldn't hold back and grabbed the woman's shoulder, oblivious to the fact that the other side was making a face uglier than seeing their own parents die. Are you happy? Now you will finally be able to cultivate again with the demon princess's blood. Shuddering some more, the deceitful witch didn't know what to say nor respond. She's merely standing there in a daze. Can I not? My body is just fine like it is. Di Tsang didn't miss their conversation, of course. Immediately, the Demon King's brow began to furrow up. In the end, Ling Yan's existence became known to these people after all, but I won't let anyone hurt my daughter. Demon King, Keeper Ling smirks like he's won already. Over the years your kind have sinned, but now you can finally redeem yourself somewhat by sacrificing your daughter to save the world. So, I forgive you. Boom. In light of that self-conceited and self-righteous sentence, the old grumpy man didn't hold back. Perhaps it's the fact he no longer had a use for Di Tsang, but the power coming out of the sword just increased by several folds, meaning the battlefield had spiraled out of the Demon King's control. Back over in the city streets, Winger had just finished running out of the palace with the princess in arm when he sensed the terrifying power coming his way. Without a second of hesitation, he whisked his sleeve towards the sky to fend off the lightning strike that was striking down in their spot. Bang! Puking blood from the impact, the Birdman went deathly pale as he gets forced back. Uncle Winger, Di Ling Yan burst into tears. Are you hurt? Dragonese father, 6, Winger shook his head and warmly brought the girl in his arms closer for protection. Princess, I'm sorry but I'm afraid it won't be easy for us to seek the king now. Di Ling Yan's eyes dimmed somewhat. She wanted to head to her father's side, but she also knows the act of dragging someone else into trouble was a wrong thing to do. Let me down, Uncle Winger. It's okay, you don't have to look down at me like that, I'm actually very tough and can take care of myself. The milky voice and strong determination sent the Birdman trembling inside because he felt ashamed for being a coward. A full-grown adult couldn't even compare to a 2-year-old courage. What more does he need to say? Princess, I actually don't feel hurt at all from the lightning, it's no different from an itch. Here, I'll take you to the king. Even if that pain stung him deep into the bone, Winger won't allow the baby to go off on her own. It's his duty right now to protect her and his wish. Really? A puzzled expression came off of Di Ling Yan when looking up. I've seen mother take hits from a lightning. It hurts a lot. Don't worry, princess, that is not a thunderbolt, so it doesn't hurt. Would I lie to you? Look at my face, does it look like someone that's hurt? Though palish in color, Winger's expression remains relaxed on the surface and even showed a slight smile to emphasize his point. Okay, Uncle Winger, I believe you. But first let me down, I can walk on my own. No, princess, we have to go to the king faster, so let me carry you. He tries to persuade her by speaking softly. Nodding over the suggestion since it's reasonable, Di Ling Yan didn't object. All right, we will go find father. I don't want anything to happen to him. Okay, let's go. With the nod given, Winger began to move with the girl firmly protected in his arms. He's making sure his entire body was acting as a shield when the lightning bolts come down again, otherwise it would surely hit the princess if he's not careful. Very soon, the bird man could see the tightly closed gate of the city after enduring several more strikes from above. He's spitting blood now from the corner of his mouth, but he's done and kept the charge in his arms safe. Uncle Winger, you tricked me, you're hurt. Let me down, I will go on my own to find father. Boom! Only a meter away from the exit, Winger finally collapsed under the last blow from the sky. Ah! Di Ling Yen cried out in fright, Uncle Winger, how are you? Don't die please, I know I'm wrong, I shouldn't have asked you to help me find father. Don't die. Seeming to recall something crucial, the girl suddenly picked up a dagger from the ground nearby and cut open her finger, thus allowing the blood to flow into Winger's wound. Tearful Ling Yen, 1, slightly quivering along the eyes, Winger slowly regains his consciousness after falling down only to be welcomed by the image of a crying girl after looking up. Princess, don't cry. I'm fine. Reaching up with his hand, the bird man attempts to wipe away some of those tears. Then that's when he noticed the cut across the girl's finger. You, what did you do? Finally smiling after confirming the other side was fine, Di Ling Yen immediately got all happy again knowing she succeeded. Back when I was at the Sky Mountain, I accidentally cut myself when I tripped over a withered tree's root. My blood made the old tree grow again. So, I thought if I smeared some of my blood on your wound it might help heal you too, Uncle Winger. Like the baby girl says, her blood does have the magical property of healing anyone if applied, but only if the patient was still alive and breathing. A tight pain promptly gripped Winger's heart due to this news. He's fully aware of his own lowly status. If not for being saved by the demon realm, someone like him wouldn't even be worthy of being in the princess's presence, let alone demand the baby to offer up her blood. Such privilege and honor, he should never have received it nor deserve it after all he's done. And exactly then, another past memory suddenly surfaced within the bird man's brain like a stroke of light. It's the time he spent in that endless darkness and how the tender voice of a strange girl came into his life. Just like her mother, the princess is kind and beautiful. How could I have been so foolish and misled for all this time? That Yun Roa, she could never do good with her vile nature. How could I have been so stupid? Princess, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Guilt, pain, regret, countless emotions blended into one indescribable emotion that continued to rip away at the man's soul. Why are you apologizing, Uncle Winger? Blinking her big baby eyes, Di Ling Yen didn't understand why the other side would suddenly say that. Closing his eyes in pain, the man decides to come clean. In the past, your mother gave me the only hope in life during my darkest moment. I promised to go find her if she couldn't come find me afterwards, however, by the time I did, she was already gone. Even worse, I misrecognized your mother's enemy as her and did some very terrible things during that period. I almost did it again and was supposed to kill you and your brother. He wanted to speak the truth and spill everything how his heinous past, and now that he said it, it both removed a heavy burden from his shoulder and frightened him. The former being the guilt, the latter of not being able to achieve forgiveness. I won't blame you, Uncle Winger. Mother said it before, a good child is one that knows when he is wrong. So, Mother won't blame you either. Awash with purity due to that clean voice, Winger never felt so refreshed in his entire life, but your mother, she doesn't seem to remember me anymore. If she had remembered me, she would have gone to find me long ago, probably. Isn't that easy? If Mother doesn't remember you, Uncle Winger, then we can remind her. Tilting her little head, Di Ling Yan's answer to the problem sounded so simple yet so obvious, but Uncle Winger, have your body recovered yet? Tearful Ling Yan, too, feeling much better now after his brief recovery, Winger stands up and readies himself. I'm ready princess, we can continue to look for the king. Outside the gates of the city, all was in ruins due to the massive damage to the landscape. Even so, Di Tsang remains firm against the constant hammering of that destructive thunder and hurricane-level winds. Against this level of devastation, not even Keeper Ling could keep his old heart at ease. There's shock and there's fear plastered all over his face right now because he expected the battle to be over by now. Has this demon king grown to such an extent? If it was anyone else from the Celestial Palace taking on those bolts, they would have fallen long ago. Pity. If only we had destroyed him properly back then when we had the chance, then I never would have needed to waste the precious sword's power on him today. I can't let this go on. If this demon king continues to grow at the rate he's doing now, then it would just be a matter of time before he overturns the entire celestial realm. Gritting his teeth at the thought, Keeper Ling once again reaches out to grab at the ancient sword's handle. However, instead of wielding the blade like some would expect, the artifact seems to have a mind of its own and came alive by sucking the old fella's energy dry like it's a black hole. In contrast to the withering look of the user, the lightning above in the sky only grew in kind, giving off a sensation that it's tearing apart the world due to the new influx of fuel. This was a terrible turn of event for Di Tsang, of course. He's been drained already after being repeatedly bombarded by the destructive bolts of electric might, and now that body of his had started to show signs of depletion, meaning it's a matter of time before he falls if nothing was done. Naturally, the king of all demons couldn't allow that under any circumstances. There are his subjects behind himself that needs protecting, but more importantly, there's his children that's still hiding in the palace. No matter what happens, the man and father won't and couldn't allow himself to fall. Suddenly, the blurry image of Bai Yan's face seems to materialize within Di Tsang's view in this dire time. It's just that instead of the iconic red dress that she's always worn, the dazzling and gorgeous woman had on a pearly white garb, giving him a smile so wonderful that it's captivating, exactly like 1,000 years ago where his heart was swept away with one simple look. Demon King Di Tsang, 1,000 years ago you would never have allowed yourself to be placed in this predicament. Aren't you regretting it, regretting all your past deeds? If not for your brash act of barging into the Celestial Palace and saving that wretched woman, none of this would be happening today. Seeing the other side's about to give, Keeper Ling decides to put the final nail in the coffin by spewing out the snarky remarks. Make no mistake though, this arrogant and grumpy keeper may have the upper hand right now, but even he knows that without this ancient artifact in his possession, he would never be able to overcome the other side. Narrowing his eyes into a glare, Di Tsang stares down menacingly at the annoying thorn that wouldn't shut up. You emotionless old fossils could never understand what it means to love a person, that's why you can say such idiotic things to me. Yen Yen is my world. Without her, this world means nothing. I will give up my body and soul if it means saving her. 1,000 years ago I did so, and 1,000 years later, that is today, I will do the same if needed. Di Tsang may not be able to remember everything from the past, but he more or less remembers the crucial bits of why he became so weak. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.